29th sponsored running of the Irish Derby, first sponsored by the Irish Sweeps in 1962, when incidentally there was a 24-horse field. The minimum has been so far has been 8 and 9 this afternoon, and Salsabil, you'll have noted there, comes into 5-2. She'll be the first filly to win, if she succeeds, since Gallinaria way back in 1900. She was bred about 30 miles away from the Curragh by Pat O'Kelly at the Kilcarn stud, trained by John Dunlop, who won this in 1978 with Shirley Heights. Other successful trainers apart from John and Henry Cecil, who I mentioned, the trainer of Belmez, Barry Hills, who won it in 1987 with Sir Harry Lewis, and he's responsible for the Derby runner-up, of course, Blue Stag. Winners of 17 races in all here are beginning to get installed now. At Salsabil, who goes into stall number 9. Nearest to the stands, Quest for Fame has gone in next to her in stall 8. They're going in very smoothly. Blue Stag goes in. The Super Flame to go. Deploy to go. And Emperor Chang to go. Super Flame goes in. Emperor Chang. Deploy is to go, and Deploy will be the last of the 9 to be installed for the 1990 Budweiser Irish Derby, and that's it. Under orders, and they're away. And away to a good even break, with Quest for Fame up there in the early stages too, but Deploy taking it up now. Deploy taking it up from Altarezza on the outside. Then comes Quest for Fame. Blue Stag's up with the pace, followed by Cahill, and then Belmez, and then Salsabil, and then Emperor Chang. The back marker is Super Flame, and Deploy is still making it from Altarezza. Deploy, Altarezza, Blue Stag towards the outside. Quest for Fame comes next, tracked by Cahill. Belmez on the outside, Salsabil on the inner, then Emperor Chang, and finally Super Flame. Deploy making a good gallop as they pass the 9 pole there. From Blue Stag in second. Quest for Fame is third. 4 comes Altarezza now, and then Cahill with Salsabil traveling smoothly on the inside, tracked by Belmez. Behind Belmez is Emperor Chang, and finally Super Flame, and still Deploy as they race to the halfway mark now. Deploy passing the halfway mark with a 2-length advantage over his stable companion Quest for Fame. Blue Stag is third. Salsabil has moved up on the inside into fourth, followed by Cahill, then Altarezza, then Belmez, who's got quite a bit to do at the moment. Deploy still from Quest for Fame. Salsabil, the filly, a clear third now, ahead of Blue Stag as they begin to run downhill towards the home turn. Still Walter Swinburne taking him along on Deploy. Then comes Quest for Fame, then Salsabil, then towards the outside is Blue Stag. Belmez getting a very lot closer now and moving nicely in behind the principals as they race towards the home turn. Deploy still has the advantage from Quest for Fame. Blue Stag in third. Salsabil has lost a little bit of ground on the turn. Belmez making ground towards the outside. 3 furlongs to run now, and it's Deploy from Quest for Fame. Then comes Blue Stag. Belmez on the outside. Salsabil being chased along. They're coming to the 2 furlong marker. Deploy has the advantage from Quest for Fame. Salsabil moves into third. Belmez challenging on the outside. Salsabil delivering a tremendous challenge now to Deploy, and it's Salsabil who comes to challenge Deploy now. The filly is going to win the Derby. Salsabil is fighting away from Deploy. Willie Carson maintains his tremendous form. Salsabil has won the Derby. Deploy is second. Belmez is in a photo for third with Blue Stag, and may have just got third from Blue Stag on the far side. Quest for Fame disappointing in between the 2. Then came Super Flame, and behind Super Flame was Emperor Chang, and last in fact was Altarezza, and so the winner of the 1990 Budweiser Irish Derby. First, number 9, Salsabil, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by John Dunlop and ridden by Willie Carson. Second was number 4, Deploy, owned by Prince Khalid Abdullah, trained by Roger Charlton, ridden by Walter Swinburne. And it's a photo for third place, a photo between Belmares, Blue Stag, and also right up with them was Quest for Fame. But there's Deploy towards the inside. Willie Carson appeared to lose ground, running down to the home turn, but now he's got the filly running really sweetly. He produces her absolutely with perfect timing in between Deploy and Quest for Fame. Quest for Fame making no progress whatsoever, and here Willie pumping away on this heroine of the 1,000 guineas and the Oaks. He's got it sewn up already with well inside the last furlong. The result is absolutely beyond doubt. This filly by Sadler's Wells, all produce of Sadler's Wells, love a bit of cut in the ground. And this filly out of Flame of Tara, bred only 30 miles away from here, the Kilcarn stud by Pat O'Kelly, has won the 1990 Budweiser Irish Derby in really fantastic style from Deploy in second. It's very close for third.
So the courage of Sheikh Hamdan vindicated. Willie Carson wins his 4th major classic of the season, and the key was the way that she settled early on in the race. She was much more switched off today. Willie Carson in a beautiful position there. Pat Edery was the first to start moving his hands here. Walter Swinburne on the pacemaker on Deploy was going better than his stable companion here, Quest for Fame. Steve Corson brings Belmares very, very wide indeed. You can see he runs towards the middle of the course. And the only problem for Willie here was, would the gap come between the two Roger Charlton horses? And it came. It came just soon enough for him. Blue Stag's run a really good race as well, one from the outside. But now Pat Edery is pushing the panic button and nothing's happening. In fact, Deploy it is who runs on really well of those two stable companions, and there was some smart money from Beckhampton on this one. But now the split comes for Willie Carson, and this filly shows this terrific quality that she has, the ability to quicken like a real top-class horse. No disrespect for Quest for Fame, he's just a real good staying horse, but this filly's got extra gears, and she's shown today she's not just a good filly, she's really something very, very special indeed. The first filly for 90 years to win the Irish Derby, and who says she won't go the whole way through to the Prix to Triomphe? Willie hasn't even had to pick up his stick. He's riding with the confidence of a man who's ridden 12 winners in the last 48 hours, which he has. Well, it's 13 now, and look at the way this filly wins. She took it all in her stride. She didn't like the wind before the race, but she left the rest of them in her slipstream in the race. A brilliant win for Salsabil. A brilliant...
Creator, the 6-5 favourite, Brazil 11-2, El Marmul now 13-2 from 7-1. Relief pitcher back to 8-1, his opening price. Tenneman on 9s. Elder Sheep 10-1 and Call to Arms 100-1. All quoted.
Hey!
So Elder Sheep, I was just going to say, settled now. He's down at the start, and of course, Guy Harwood is quite adamant. He said there's no doubt Elder Sheep has a bit of spirit about him. He said, but he just needs careful handling. And he won't have it that the horse is ungenuine, and certainly last season the horse ran several very good races. I know...
Well done the handlers.
All credit to them. They break away. Relief pitcher is on the wide outside, but Call to Arms shares the early pace. But now Elder Sheep are slow at going into the stalls, but very fast at coming out. But he's sort of settling in front, and he's not really stretching them. And Relief pitcher and Ray Cochrane will have none of it. And they go up on the outside to quicken the tempo. With Elder Sheep now settled second, Elmar Moore and Call to Arms, and the other three bunched in behind with Creator last as they come through the first quarter mile. Elder Sheep, Relief pitcher on the outside, shows second, a length back to Elmar Moore in blue third, Call to Arms and Terryman, and then comes Razim with a white cap, and Creator is still the back marker, some 7 lengths off the leader, which is now Elder Sheep, who gets a surge and a new lease of life and rockets down the back straight. Relief pitcher in second, and Elmar Moore runs the rail third. Wide with a white cap is Razin, just preceded by Call to Arms, and the favourite is Creator, and he's last, and Terryman and Michael Roberts held up for that late run, and they begin the spin out of the back turn, and it's Ilda Sheeper in the lead. Apparently you can get even money Creator in running. That's no surprise because he is last, and they've got half a mile to go in the Coral Eclipse, and it's Ilda Sheep just pressing the accelerator. Goes on from El Marmul, and a good bit of waiting in front this from Ilda Sheep at this stage. They turn for home. Creator is still last, and Kashas Musen has yet to show any signs of anxiety. Ilda Sheep in the lead. El Marmul relief pitcher with the hoop sleeves. Call to Arms in yellow and black, and now Creator is ridden by Kashas Musen, and he finds nothing at all, and it's Razine in the white cap who tries to make ground. They come down past the two, and it's Ilda Sheep from the front. He's made virtually all. El Marmul in blue. Here on the wide outside is Razine. The favourite Creator is well and truly beaten and very lifeless indeed. A furlong and a half to go. El Marmul strikes. He goes for home, and Willie Carson. Terryman in the green cap is terrier-like, and he goes after him. Ilda Sheep can find no more. Relief pitcher back in four, and El Marmul and Willie Carson in the drive position. Terryman comes after him. El Marmul finds reserves. El Marmul going on, and El Marmul beats Terryman. Ilda Sheep third. And then relief pitcher, followed by Razine, and then behind these Creator beat only one, and that one was Call to Arms. Creator is the disappointment, but victory in this Coral Eclipse goes to number 10. That's El Marmul in the colours of Nashwan and the colours of Salsabil, namely Hamdan Al Maktoum. This one trained at West Ilsley by Major Dick Hearn, who announced that his big sprinter Dayjur would not be running next week because the horse is coughing. This one certainly isn't, and the only people who are coughing are the heavy punters who steamed in on Creator, who finished last but one. Second is number 6 Terrymon, ridden by Michael Roberts. The third horse home is number 4 Ilda Sheepra, and the record books show that the fourth is number 5 Relief Pitcher. Fifth was number 13 Razine, beat number 2 Creator, who in turn beat Call to Arms. That's the finishing order in this Coral Eclipse, and a fourth win in the race for Dick Hearn, successful with Brigadier General Ella Manamu and Nashwan in 1989, and the Nashwan colours on El Marmul came home with Willie Carson, his 94th winner of the season. Nothing succeeds like success.
Early into the straight, and El Marmul poised to make his challenge as Ilda Sheep up front had really stretched them round the final bend, and just for a moment I thought he might stretch them all the way. Relief pitcher on El Marmul's outside, beginning to send out distress signals. Razine on the outside being squeezed along. Call to Arms in yellow is struggling, and the only danger, and a big one it looks too, is Terryman and Michael Roberts, green cap poised, ready to pounce.
Michael Roberts has carried out the tactical plan which he outlined to us before. He's switched Terrymon off, and sure enough, up the hill, Terrymon produces that short run of his. Well, it was a long run in last year's Derby, and how sick poor old Terrymon must be of Sheikh Hamdan's blue and white colours. He chased them on Nashwan, now he chases them again on El Marmul, and although they were a lot further in front on Nashwan and going a lot faster, they stay in front. That's the point, and El Marmul is paying a tribute to the Epsom Derby form. Creator's running can obviously be forgotten, there must be an explanation for that, but nevertheless, a 3-year-old has won the Eclipse and beaten last year's Derby third, fair and square.
And El Marmul wins at 13-2, third favourite, and it's only the third colt to be third.
There's number 5, this is In the Wings. I thought he looked, I agreed with Julian, he's one of the best horses in the paddock, best looking horses. He's now gone to joint favourite, 7-2 from 4-1. He chipped a bone in his knee as a 2-year-old, so they had to take a bit of time with him, but he's made no mistakes this year. The Coronation Cup, for me, he was a very fluent winner, and also the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud, beautifully ridden by Cash Asmussen on both occasions, and I think a really high-class thoroughbred, Julian.
This is the moment that the adrenaline runs, the nervous energy starts to flow, and a little fleck of sweat here isn't a bad thing. These horses know what they have to do, and they face a really tough test. A mile and a half, the record time 2 minutes 26 seconds. There's going to be a real gallop today.
Tony McGlone on Limeburn, who's making the run in for his stable companion Cacoethus. He'll have his wits about him when those stalls open, because on a couple of occasions Limeburn has been a little bit slow leaving the stalls. He doesn't want to do that today. But as I was saying yesterday, that a pacemaker there is not just to go as fast as he can possibly run, it's in fact to keep him going. We now have a clear favourite, in fact. In the wings, a 3-1, Old Vic 4-1. Now Cacoethus 11-2 and 8-1 bar those three. The public here are betting that it's a 3-horse race. Well, for me, there's one or two of the other runners that got a shot at the cherry.
And the winner of this race takes on multi-million-pound status. He becomes a major stallion, and particularly if he's a son of Sadler's Wells. So there's a very great deal more at stake than just the £284,000 first prize, as well as the lovely diamond prize.
Charmer just about to be loaded. He's been a little bit difficult. Charmer really has always been threatening, never managed to get his head in front in a group race like this. And a couple more left to go, and as Julian was saying, the adrenaline will really be running. In the wings, 3-1, Old Vic now 4s, Cacoethus 6s, and Terramon's creeping into the market. Opened up 8s, went to 9s, now back to 7s. 8-1 bar those 4, and Cacoethus I think is going to be one of the last. Let's go to Peter.
Yes, Cacoethus is the last in, that's it. All 11 installed for the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes of 1990, and they're running. Belmes shows fast on the inside, then Atarts. Cacoethus up with the pace. In the wings is going right up there to join him. In the wings going on now with Old Vic on his outside, and Sapiens has gone right up to dispute the lead as well. And it's in the wings with Sapiens on the inside, Old Vic towards the outer, Belmes and Hussian just in behind them, then Cacoethus, who's been dropped back behind Cacoethus' legal case, and then comes Terriman and then Charmer. And Atarts, unbeaten previously over this course, is the back marker at the moment, as Old Vic and Steve Cawthon are the leaders now. From on the inside, Sapiens, towards the outside is Limeburn, just in behind Limeburn is Belmes, and in the wings, and then Hussian behind Hussian is legal case. And still Atarts the back marker, and Old Vic making it. Old Vic from Limeburn in second, Sapiens is third. Then in the wings 4, Belmes just in behind him, and behind Belmes on his outside is Hussian. Behind Hussian then is Cacoethus, and then Terriman. And still the back marker is Atarts, with Charmer dropping back too. They're past the 6-fold pole, and Old Vic is still the leader from Limeburn, intended to be the pacemaker for Cacoethus in second. Sapiens is third. Then comes in the wings on the inside with Belmes, then Hussian making ground towards the outer. Cacoethus is getting closer now. Terriman has got a lot to do. Old Vic has a 3-length advantage now as they race to the half-mile pole, and it's Old Vic from on the inside in the wings. Sapiens has gone third. Belmes is right there with Cacoethus improving. Rounding the home turn, it's a Sheikh Mohammed 1-2 at the moment, with Old Vic the leader from Belmes in second. Cacoethus third. Sapiens is dropping out of it. Atarts is improving fast towards the stand side, but it's Old Vic being pressed by Belmes, then Cacoethus, and then Atarts under pressure. It's Belmes and Michael Cannan who've taken it up now from Old Vic, with Cacoethus third and Atarts 4, and Atarts still improving. Belmes and Old Vic fighting it out in the Mohammed colours, with Atarts still coming there. Old Vic is fighting back, but the 3-year-old has the advantage. It's Belmes from Old Vic with Atarts third as they race into the closing stages. Old Vic is fighting back. It's going to be a photo, but Belmes has just won it from Old Vic with third Atarts and 4 Cacoethus. Behind them came in the wings and Terriman, and behind Terriman was Charmer, and behind Charmer was Hussian, and then Sapiens and legal case. And last was Limeburn, but officially it was a photo. But I think there's little doubt that Belmes, the only 3-year-old in the race, number 13, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Henry Cecil and ridden by Michael Cannan, has beaten number 10, Old Vic, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Henry Cecil and ridden by Steve Cawthon. So a scintillating 1-2 for Henry Cecil and a 3-4 for Guy Harwood, with Atarts third and Cacoethus fourth.
The greatest big race jockey in Europe, Michael Cannan's becoming. He's fallen in for yet another major success. He comes to take it up off the stable companion Old Vic early in the straight, and although Belmes started to hang a little bit to the left, Michael straightened him out. There he's hanging to the left again. Steve Cawthon and Old Vic have never given up. They've rallied back, and look at Atarts back in third. His first defeat at Ascot, but what a glorious defeat.
I don't think I've ever seen Steve Cawthon put more in a finish, because that's his stable companion just on his outside. He could have ridden this, don't forget. He chose Old Vic. Well, both these horses have given all. I thought for a moment Old Vic was going to hang on, but don't forget he's been off the racecourse for quite a long time. He's only had the one run this year, but to take nothing away from Belmez, perhaps the best 3-year-old in Europe, or he's asked after that crown later on this season.
What a triumph this is for Henry Cecil. 1-2, two horses that he had to beg the owner to run. Belmez, as you can see, not by any means running on rails. And Old Vic, he's already getting very, very tired indeed. He's wandering under Steve Cawthon. But look at the drive of Michael Cannan as he's pulled his whip through to his left hand there. Steve Cawthon, as Jimmy said, riding the strongest finish imaginable. The Sheikh Mohammed's first and second look back to In the Wings, who's fifth.
So Belmez.
In a 21-runner maiden, when he really electrified the crowd by sprinting up the hill to win by 7 lengths. He's just had 1 or 2 minor problems since, by all accounts. Hasn't run since, but he certainly looks really well today.
I think he's a high-class colt, this, by our native, and you can see there on his off hind just under his hock. I think this is a pad that's been brought over from America. John Gosden, I would think, has inherited that knowledge, and perhaps he speed Eclipse a little bit. That means to say that his hind legs overreach his front, and they just catch on his front plates, his front racing plates, and you get a nasty little scar under their hock. And if they hit that a little bit hard, it can put them off their racing. So I see that he's just put a pad on. Well, they think he's a very, very good performer, this. He's just about to go in the stall. I think he's one of the last. Let's go to Peter.
That's it. And they're running. And a pretty good break too, with Green Line Express, one of the first to show, Shavian on the near side. So Man's not far off the pace, then Call to Arms. And then comes Lord Charmer. So as they settle down, Steve makes it a catch me if you can race, with Shavian going to the front as he did at Ascot from Green Line Express as they race down from the top of the hill. Zoman in third, then comes Call to Arms and Lord Charmer in Great Commotion, and Distant Relative as the back marker, and Shavian has a 3-length advantage now as they race towards the half-mile pole in the Sussex Stakes, from Green Line Express in second, Call to Arms on the outside of the white-faced Zoman, then comes Lord Charmer, Great Promotion, and Distant Relative swinging into the straight now, and Shavian, the leader, from Green Line Express in second, Call to Arms third, Zoman trying to get into it, Great Commotion making a run from the rear, Lord Charmer just in behind him, Distant Relative over on the far rail, but still Shavian from Green Line Express and Zoman as they hit the 2-furlong pole. Green Line Express and Cash Asmussen in the centre. On the far side is Shavian. Distant Relatives putting in a run over on the far side too. They're racing into the final furlong now. On the near side is Green Line Express. On the far side, Distant Relative is getting up, and Distant Relative looks as though he's going to win it. Distant Relative strides away to win it as they race to the line. Distant Relative has won it. Green Line Express is second, and third is Shavian. 4, 5 and 6 were Great Commotion, Zoman and Lord Charmer, and last was the 66-1 outsider, Call to Arms. And so the result of the Sussex Stakes: first number 1, Distant Relative, owned by Mr. Wafiq Saeed, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Willie Carson. Second was number 3, Green Line Express, owned by QEII Fustok, trained by Mohammed Mubarak and ridden by Cash Asmussen. And third was number 6, the horse who tried to make it all, Shavian, owned by Lord Howard of Walden, trained by Henry Cecil and ridden by Steve Cawthon. Fourth was number 2, Great Commotion. So Distant Relative comes from near last to first to win the 132,750 Sussex Stakes. Here's how he did it.
Yes, it was a genuine last to first. There he is on the inside, having missed the break, seemed to be struggling early on. He's in the inside of Pat Edery on Great Commotion, and it didn't look as though his situation was very promising, because up front Shavian was keeping up the gallop. Cash Asmussen was breathing down his neck, on Green Line Express, Zoman and Call for Arms close behind them. But Willie takes the bold route. He decides to go up the rails. He decided that going round the field would be asking too severe a question, so he's hoped for a break. He's gone up the inside of Lord Charmer there, and now Kelly pull back the front ones because the gallop still continues. Cash Asmussen looked to say he was going marginally better than Steve Cawthon here. In fact, Steve is the first one to go for his whip, but now Cash goes for his whip as well, and not a great deal happens immediately. Meanwhile, Willie, continuing his ambitious run up the inside, gets that dream run that he's been looking for, gets up the inside of Steve Cawthon, asked his mount to quicken, and although his mount's obviously hating the ground and came back at him just for a moment there's never been any doubt about his courage. He loves his track, and he's stormed into the lead. Xavier runs on well, but look how Green Line Express suddenly gets his second wind as Cash pulls his stick through to his left hand in the last 150 yards of the race, and he finishes really well. He looked to say he wouldn't even have second place in 150 yards out, but at the line he's closed it to almost 3 parts of a length. He's clearly second, Xavier third, but distant relative has won the Sussex Stakes at 4-1.
Yes, and only a man in spectacular.
On the quarter filly to look at.
Well, I hope Nick Cowan decides to breed from her. Nick is the man who had that biggest ever payout and one of those multiple bets in America, $1.7 million he and a friend won. So Nick's the man who's always had luck on his side. Here is the favourite, Moon Cactus, and she still looks pretty cool, pretty relaxed. And this incredibly hot day, the temperature must be up in the 90s again. And I wonder what the mystery is going to be. I think Jimmy's got his finger on it. I think we're going to see Steve jump off and try and make all on this filly and see if she relaxes in front, because she certainly never gives the impression of relaxing behind.
She's taken the preliminaries very well, Julian, hasn't she? She's nice and, oops, don't think she's going to play. No, she's all right. Famous last words, Julian. But I've seen her get a little bit more worked up. But have a look at that neck strap. This is what he's going to try and, I think, keep this filly's head down today with. He'll be more on the neck strap than actually on her mouth.
And that's that left eye, Jimmy. It's still a little bit sensitive. And she prefers to challenge on the outside. She'll come on the outside of her field, except today if she's making all, she won't be challenging on the outside of anyone because they'll be coming to challenge her. And this is the filly who might be throwing down the last challenge, Cartagena. Fascinating race. Here's Peter.
That's it, the Cecil plan about to be unfolded, and they're running. Mamaluna shows from Cartagena, Moon Cactus right up there with them. Starlet is fourth. It's Mamaluna now from Moon Cactus right up there in second. Then Cartagena and Starlet. Behind Starlet is Shayushka. And finally, Al Can Do. Mamaluna making it from Moon Cactus. Cartagena on the outside. The Royal Colours on Starlet back in 4. 5, Shayushka, the stable companion of Moon Cactus. Last is Al Can Do. Mamaluna making it from Moon Cactus, going right up to join her now. And Moon Cactus going on. Moon Cactus goes on at a very early stage of the race before the 6 furlong pole, which they've just passed. Mamaluna is second and third, Cartagena and 4, Starlet and 5, Shayushka and 6, and last is Al Can Do. 5 furlongs to run, and it's still Moon Cactus by 2 from Mamaluna. 2.5 up on Cartagena, 2 up on Starlet, 2.5 to 3 up on Shayushka, 3 up on Al Can Do as they begin to run downhill now. They've got half a mile to run in the Vodafone Nassau Stakes, and still Moon Cactus making it smoothly from Mamaluna, Cartagena, Starlet and the Royal Colours coming towards the right of the picture on the outside. Over on the far side, Shayushka is making quite good progress, then Al Can Do. But still, Moon Cactus and Steve Cawthon from Mamaluna and Cartagena. Cartagena going second now as they race towards the 2 furlong pole. In fact, coming to challenge Moon Cactus and to take it up very quickly. Cartagena has taken it up from Moon Cactus. Starlet's improving on the right of the picture. They're running down to the furlong marker now, and it's Cartagena being pressed by in the Royal Colours. Starlet getting a great roar from the crowd here, willing her on. Starlet on the near side, Cartagena on the far side. Walter Swinburne and Pat Henry. Cartagena from Starlet inside the final 100 yards. Cartagena holding Starlet. It's going to be Cartagena the winner as they come to the line. Cartagena has won it, and Starlet is second. Moon Cactus third, for Mamaluna 5 is Alcandu, and last is Shayushka. And so the result of the Vodafone Nassau is first, number 5, Cartagena, owned by His Highness the Aga Khan, trained by Michael Stout, ridden by Walter Swinburne. Second, number 4, Starlet, owned by Her Majesty the Queen, trained by Willie Hastings Bass, ridden by Pat Edery. And third, the disappointing 6th successive beaten favourite in the Vodafone Nassau Stakes, number 6, Moon Cactus, owned by Sheikh Mohammed and ridden by Steve Cawthon. Fourth was number 2, Mamaluna, but this is the winner, Cartagena. Third winner of the Vodafone Nassau for Michael Stout, and second for Walter Swinburne.
Whatever it was that went wrong in the Oaks, this is the true Cartagena. She's a very, very talented filly, and she's shown it today. She's flown past Moon Cactus. Starlet's gone in pursuit. Given everything today, Starlet, but this is the true Cartagena. The new tactics on Moon Cactus, well, I don't think they really suited, Jim, do you?
No, I don't think so, Julian. She didn't fire at all when Cartagena actually picked her up. Walter now picks his stick up in his left hand and asks his filly to go. Her 2 wins this season prior to the Oaks have been over the day's trip of 1.25 miles. But just let's go with the Royal filly. Pat Edery asked Starlet for a run now, and he picks her up. And as game as she tried, she couldn't match the finishing speed, in fact, of Cartagena, who I think is a very good filly, Julian.
Cartagena's a little bit special, but this is the race of Starlet's life. It's her first group race, a Group 2 race, and she's shown she's right up to this mark, but she couldn't pull back the Aga Khan's filly. Moon Cactus, well, Steve, funnily enough, I mean, she might easily have relaxed more today behind, because they look to say they were getting a decent gallop. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the Yorkshire Oaks. But good to see what's an outstanding filly come back to her best. Cartagena, only beaten once in her life, and that was the Oaks. And, well, that form was all wrong, as she's shown today, winning at 11-2.
The red-hot favourite now, and it's been really well backed, Chimes of Freedom, but it opened at nearly 5-1. It's now into 1.8-1. That's 7-5 in our language. Then Linamix and Reinstate, they were the original favourites, but they're now out to 5-1. You can go and get against them with Green Line Express. That's now second best, Green Line Express, at 4.4-1. 4.9-1 is distant relative. There's money for all these horses, and Sykeston at the bottom there for Britton and Roberts. They were runners-up with Cast Caraway in the first race. They're the complete outsiders here, but there's no doubt this Chimes of Freedom is going to be her red-hot favourite. But we've had 6 British-trained favourites have run in the Prix de Marois. All of them have been beaten, and of our 36 runners, only Lear Fan has ever won. It's very hard for Chimes of Freedom.
Well, there she is, down at the start, Chimes of Freedom. Steve Cawthon's first ride back after a week's holiday in the south of France, and he's riding 1 pound over, 8 stone 7. But what a performer, this filly. She's won 6 of her 8 races, including at Newmarket last time out.
Running from Arousal, back in second place in the yellow cap, running the rail. Hasbar behind these, they race past the final furlong, and it's Chimes of Freedom and Steve Cawthon just pushing her along. She's coming clear from Arousal as she comes inside the final furlong. Chimes of Freedom going on from Arousal and up towards the line. Chimes of Freedom, the easy winner.
Yep, she's a top-class racehorse, but she'll have to be, because they're all major contenders today. They've already won £2 million in prize money. Let's take a closer look at them with John Oaksey.
Chimes of Freedom looks magnificent. Hasn't turned a hair in the parade and cantering down. Really have never seen her look better. Of course, after being beaten by Salsaville at Newbury, she's looked brilliant at Ascot and Newmarket. We really don't know how good she is. This is her chance to prove it. There's always a difference of opinion about what ground suits her. Derek Thompson asked Steve Cawthon whether he thought this watered ground would suit.
Well, obviously, we think she needs better ground. She's always shown us her best form at home on the better ground, and you know, I hope it's good enough. I haven't actually had the chance to walk the course myself, but Mr. Cecil and Alan Cooper, the racing manager, have, and they think it's okay.
And what about you? You've been on holiday for a week. How did it go?
Very good. It was very relaxing, and the weather's been great.
Let's hope she lives up to Henry Cecil's hopes and makes all Steve's dieting worthwhile. Only a 1 pound overweight. Number 10, Chimes of Freedom. We saw the French 2000 Guineas winner, Lena Mix, on the way down, and he looked a wonderful athletic sight. This, of course, is the horse who disappointed so badly in the Epsom Derby, but the course and the distance turned out not to suit him at all that day. And this nice straightforward straight mile will be much more suitable both for Linamix and for his acrobatic jockey Gerard Mosse, who rides shorter than anybody I've ever seen. A real chance of a comeback for Linamix. Well, there's no doubt about the English hopes. They are not only confined to Chimes of Freedom, because here's the Sussex Stakes winner, distant relative. Pat Edery is taking the place of Willie Carson, who gave distant relative such a brilliant run up the rails that day. Derek asked Pat what chance he thought he had.
Well, he's got a great chance. He won the Sussex at Goodwood last week, very easy. He came a fair way back, and he did the, he won nice, and he beat Green Line Express. The race today, well, you've got Linamix, the French Guineas winner, and the filly Chimes of Freedom. They're going to be hard to beat, but I think this horse must go very close. He looks like he's come to form, and I'm looking forward to riding him.
As usual, distant relative scratched down to the start. He's a very bad mover in his slow paces, sometimes takes time to warm up. Let's hope this watered ground will enable him to do so. That's Candy Glen just trying to be inserted in the stalls. There's Green Line Express, the mount of the French champion jockey Cash Asmussen, and well, Derek asked Cash how he fancied Green Line Express.
I think that Green Line Express has a first-class chance today, Derek. He seems to be a horse who's come back to himself. I know that he ran a great race in the Sussex. I didn't have the best of trips, or I could have asked for a couple things to go a little bit better. I look for him to go better for me today.
He was just outpaced by distant relative at a vital stage in the Sussex Stakes, but came back fast at the end. Green Line Express was only beaten half a length. Just conceivably he might like it a little bit firmer, but got a real chance. Look at the betting now.
And Chimes of Freedom is now the 2-to-1 favourite, Chimes of Freedom, with Green Line Express. Very good money for that, and for distant relative. But there's very little for the French horses. Linamix and Reinstate, they're coupled. They're out to 5-to-1 now, and Septi MCL, very weak, almost a 6-to-1 chance. So the Brits are being backed. We've got 5 of the runners in the race. They're the horses that the punters are on with their franks.
And through the first furlong, Reinstate has a blue sash, and he's going up there early. But so running freely on the outside in the red cap is Green Line Express. And it's Green Line Express and Reinstate with Linamix tracking that one. Then just in behind them, Priola running the rail is Candy Glen in the pale jacket at this stage. Chimes of Freedom is one of the back markers, and so Septi MCL is settled mid-division. But this pacemaker, Reinstate, doing a really good job with Green Line Express and Candy Glen tracking in second and third. Then Linamix settled fourth. Sykeston's on the outside in the hoop cap in 5. Behind the Septi MCL and taking quite a keen hold is Chimes of Freedom in mid-division. Distant relative, who was a bit slow starting, is starting to get going, and the back marker is Lady Winner as they race down towards the halfway stage. But it's Reinstate in the grey horse leading from Candy Glen next to the rails. Chimes of Freedom in the white cap is in between them, but that she follows Green Line Express, whose jockey Cash Asmussen wears the red cap. Sykeston's on the outside on the left of the picture. Distant relative comes with a run. They've got just under 4 furlongs left to go, and Chimes of Freedom's coming up there with Green Line Express as the pacemaker gives way on the wide outside. Sykeston making ground, so too Distant Relative. Candy Glen really going well. Linamix looks for room next to the rails. Priola looks out of it in the red cap. Septi NCL starts the launch to challenge. It's anybody's race, but as they race inside the final furlong now, and Linamix has come bursting through next to the rails with Candy Glen in the yellow jacket. Priola's finishing well. Chimes of Freedom won't be winning. Here comes Lady Winner in the check jacket, and on the wide outside it's Distant Relative, but from nowhere, Priolo has come through to take the race from Distant Relative, and Priolo wins in a photo for second between Linamix and Distant Relative, and then behind these came Lady Winner in 4, then Candy Glen and Sedi MCL. Back a length and a half behind these came Chimes of Freedom, who had every chance but dropped away. Sykeston beat Green Line Express, and that'll be a big disappointment for the Green Line Express team. And last of all was the pacemaker Reinstate. And so this Prix de Arrêt de Freine Le Buffa Jacques Le Marois has gone to number 6 Priolo in the colours of Ecruy Skymark Farm, ridden by Alan Lecure, who won the race in 1980 with Najdar, and he's come from nowhere to do it again.
You couldn't have a much better flat race than this. At this stage, there are, as you can see, 6 in line in front, and in fact, the winner isn't one of them, because Priolo still has to make his move. He comes from quite a way off the pace. This is the moment, in fact, when Steve Cawthon knows his fate on Chimes of Freedom. She's just come up to join Green Line Express as Distant Relative challenges on the far side, with Candy Glen and Linamix on this side, but then Chimes of Freedom quite quickly, disappointingly really, runs out of steam as Lady Winner comes through to dispute the lead with Candy Glen, and now Priolo coming between those two. Lady Winner in the check colour, Candy Glen in the yellow, Linamix over this side, Distant Relative on the far side, but it's the gap between Lady Winner and Candy Glen which matters, because that's the gap through which Priolo comes to win this fascinating race. He's just going to hold on from the rally of Linamix, the French 2000 Guineas winner, with Distant Relatives the best for England.
And the last show on the Paris Mutuel for Priolo was 12.1 to 1. So the return will be roughly around that. We will try to bring you the return before the end of the programme. That depends on how quickly it's announced. But the last show was 12.1 to 1. The second, Linamix, was a 5 to 1 chance coupled with Reinstate. And the third, Distant Relative, went off at 4.4 to 1. That was the last show against Distant Relative. And the favourite, Chimes of Freedom, they sent that out 2.1 to 1 right at the off. They're not the official returns, they'll be coming soon. But once again, Britain's desperately disappointing record in the race, that is maintained. We've now had 41 challengers and only one winner. The French...
She showed that there was sound basis for the tip by going on to win her second start by 10 lengths. Absolutely cantered in down at Gorham Park, Nura Park did, and then she came on and beat the youth for Down Easter Alexa here at the Phoenix Park, and that was improvement, bringing her up to qualifying for a Group 1 2-year-old event. That's number 11, Nura Park, in the colours of Pat Burns, who's had so much success with fillies trained for him by Jim Bolger. Brentsville already loaded there, one of the outsiders, a comfortable winner of a fillies race over this distance here on Wednesday. She's going up in class, however, and carries the colours of the late John P. Costa, who has had some good fillies in his day, including Habibti. That's number 7, Brentsville. She's already been loaded. Another one already loaded, I think, is Down Easter Alexa.
Well, Maxim is now evens favourite. Capricciosa is at 5 to 1. Distinctly North is at 6 to 1. On Tiptoes is 7 to 1. Gypsy Fiddler 8 to 1 from sevens. Inishdaller is at 12 to 1. Pancho's Pearl at 14 to 1. Nura Park and Brentsville are at 20 to 1. And Talk, Down Easter Alexa are at 50 to 1. Karen's Keeper is 66 to 1. And Barry's Run is still the outsider at 300 to 1.
There goes Down Easter Alexa. Speedy sort, but the 6th furlong might prove a problem. Gabriel Curran-up was beaten by Nura Park here on Wednesday night, safely installed. Favourite here, Max Imp, nearest to us. And the ground officially good compared with Good to Firm yesterday, due to some rain here this morning. There goes Inishdala, number 10, Michael Kanan.
was one we didn't see. She upset the odds-on Portrait Painter here in July, but before that she'd been beaten by Capricciosa, and I don't see any great reason why she should turn the tables with Capricciosa here.
Distinctly North safely installed, the Sangster first colours, ready for the Heinz 57 Phoenix Stakes, and they're off. And over towards the right as we look at them, Maxim began quite well, also down Easter Alexa. Over towards the left, Capricciosa showing speed, and up there too, showing good early paces on Tiptoes. And as they race through the first furlong and a half, on Tiptoes is the leader with Capricciosa. Over on the near side, Maxim, Distinctly North, and they're followed by Gypsy Fiddler, and already they've gone on some way clear of Inishdala and the rest as they race towards the 3 marker, and it's on Tiptoes. Dean McEwen in the lead, Maxim, Alan Munro on the near rail, between them Distinctly North, and a gap then to Capricciosa in 4, but the English trio dominating at this stage. Maxim has the advantage from Distinctly North in second. 3 and beginning to weaken is on Tiptoes, Capricciosa 4, then Gypsy Fiddler. They race into the last 2 furlongs now. Maxim being pressed all the time by Distinctly North on the outside, and the pair are clear of on Tiptoes. Maxim has the advantage from Distinctly North as he races down out of the final furlong. Maxim by half a length. Distinctly North won't give in, and they're followed by Capricciosa as they race inside the last half furlong. Maxim, Distinctly North hanging on grimly on the far side, a gap to Gypsy Fiddler, and then comes making ground Nura Park, but it's Maxim and Distinctly North in a battle to the line. Maxim, Distinctly North on the stand side. It's going to be close as they flash across the line, but Maxim is home just, I would say, from Distinctly North. 3 Gypsy Fiddler, 4 Nura Park, and 5 Inishdala. Then on Tiptoes, behind on Tiptoes is Karen's Keeper, and they're followed across the line by Torque and Pancho's Pearl. Capricciosa, who dropped right out down Easter Alexa, and back towards the rear it's Barry's Run. I'm sure it will be a photo, but it looks from our angle as if Maxim may just have shaded it over Distinctly North. We'll just have to wait for confirmation of that, but the English 2-year-olds dominating the race, and we'll have another look at the finish now as we watch the race the last couple of furlongs with Ted Walsh.
Maxim here blazed out of the stalls and was really carrying a really good gallop all the way. Distinctly North has keeping matching strides with him. There wasn't much between these and the Richmond. There's less between him here today. Alan Munro and that low crouch. John Carroll is getting every tune out of Distinctly North, and both these horses are running blazing down the park here and leaving the rest really struggling behind. Horses maybe running on from the back, but no match for these 2 speedsters in front, and they've run their heart and souls out, both of them down to the line. Max Imp is here on the rails. John Carroll is sticking his, or Alan Munro is sticking his right hand. John Carroll is getting every ounce out of Distinctly North, and both animals are running neck and neck here to the line. I think Max Imp has shaded him all the way. He's in front most of the way, and I think he's in front right to the line. Distinctly North is not giving up on the far side, but Max Imp has the advantage. He has the running rail, and in our angle here he's still in front. For me, Max Imp has held Distinctly North by about a short head to a head. I think it's Max Imp is in front, Distinctly North in second. Gypsy Fiddler runs on to be third. I think Nora Park was fourth, but it's Max Imp from Distinctly North. In third place is Gypsy Fiddler, and fourth is Nora Park.
Going round behind the stalls, number 5 follows round Norwich. There's number 3, Rock City, a really tough individual, as Richard was saying. In fact, you know, he's run 14 times and has only finished out of the money on 2 occasions. I don't think you'll get a gamer or tougher performance than Rock City. Bruce Raymond looking for his 51st winner of the season. Norwich, you see there, Michael Hills will be looking to settle him down. He ran a little bit free at Royal Ascot, but he bounced back with 2 list wins in Ireland. And Heart of Joy just a little bit on toes there. Let's go and see where Heart of Joy is in the market, and also an interesting one, Fedoria, who opened at 20s and finishes up at 12s at the last show. Let's see if there's any more money for Fedoria.
Well, 5-2 Heart of Joy, it's back to second favourite. The favourite still Rock City 13-8, Heart of Joy 5-2, Norwich 11-2. But Fedoria, remember it opened at 20s, has come right down to 11-1 and was 10-1. But 11-1 now. Rushmore 11-1 also, Philia Andros 12s, and Palace Street 20-1.
That is it. Fedoria, in fact, goes in nice and quietly. Now we go to Julian.
Yeah, Fedoria running in group company for the first time. The last to be installed, and they're off. Good even break. Philia Andros well away. And Norwich on the inside, and Rock City right up there. And it looks as though Rock City is going to be competing all the way. But Norwich, in fact, pulled his way into the lead from Rock City, and Rushmore on the outside. Then dropped back to fourth is Heart of Joy. On the inside of Heart of Joy is Palace Street. The last two are Philia Andros and Fedoria as they swing round towards the straight, with Norwich dictating it. The dual-listed winner in Ireland, representing Barry Hills, has won this with Prager and Distant Melody. Rock City tracks him into the straight. Slipping through on the inside is Palace Straight. Towards the outside is Heart of Joy and Rushmore with the special noseband. Running down 3.5 to run, and still Norwich dictating it from Rock City. On the rails is Palace Street, then Rushmore on the outside. Filior Dross is coming on the wide outside. Heart of Joy is close enough, if good enough, with 2 furlongs to run, and it's Norwich who's made it all so far. Norwich cruising in the lead. Rock City is under pressure now. Here comes Heart of Joy on the outside with Filior Dross, but it's Norwich who's dominating this race. Norwich going 3-4 lengths clear. Norwich isn't going to be beaten now. Michael Hills goes for his whip, but he's got an advantage of 5 lengths. Running on to the second is Heart of Joy, and here comes Fedoria on the wide outside. Fedoria finishing best of all, but it's Norwich with an unassailable advantage with 50 yards to go. Norwich goes away to give Barry Hills his 3rd Hungerford success. Fedoria just second, third of a third between Rock City and the inside of Heart of Joy, then Filior Rodros and Palace Street, and last to finish was Rushmore. So the result of the Gardner Merchant Hungerford Stakes, an all-the-way win for number 5 Norwich, owned by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Michael Hills. Second, number 2 Fedoria, owned by Mr. Mark Tristolfi, trained by Michael Jarvis and ridden by Frankie Dodori. And a photo for third between number 4 Heart of Joy and by Mr. John Maybe, trained by Michael Stout and ridden by Walter Swinburne, and number 3 Rock City, ridden by Bruce Raymond. Heart of Joy almost certainly third, but Rock City retains his record of never once being out of the frame. Well, this was a brilliant success for Norwich, adding to the 1984 success of Prager, the 1989 success of distant relative in this race for Barry Hills, which we can review now with Richard.
Yes, they'd gone a good clip right from the off, and sitting there on the rails doing a lovely job of waiting in front is Michael Hills and Norwich. He'd set this pace, and it's a thing Leicester used to do, didn't he? He used to set a nice pace and then kick, and when he kicked he left them for dead. Just behind him on the rails in the mauve colours, but only flattering for a while, was the bottom one, Palace Street and John Williams, but this one starting to backpedal now. One from the right on the chasing bunch is Rock City, but although he's consistent, he's struggling here. Let's concentrate on the leader. You can see he's put 4 lengths between them very quickly. Now Fedoria, the 4-year-old under Dottori, comes on the outside with a rattling run, but none of them are going to get anywhere near the winner, are they? Heart of Joy in the middle of the chasing group there has run a super race. No excuses, I wouldn't have thought. They're getting their toe in just a bit today, and she goes nicely to the line. That early season classic form just not quite coming back at the moment, but she's shown that she's classic class. Well, this is a Group 3 race, and Norwich had always shown, and especially in Ireland, Phoenix Park, that he was good enough for a group race. Let's take them from another angle now, furlong and a half out and looking more head on. So going from the right there, you can see Norwich actually being asked by Michael Hills to go for it. And isn't it nice to see him getting plenty of winners for his father since his retainer with him was terminated, and amicably I can say that. So we've got Norwich going for it. Palace Street just starting to drop out, but she's got a good place to go in the stud in the future. That was what she was bought for. Rock City being niggled along already. Bruce Raymond getting to work on him, but nothing's happening there. And Heart of Joy starting to run now. But on the outside, you can see Fedoria was going nicely, but Norwich came home alone at 11-2.
Good enough, but it certainly suggests he's improving. Here's Dashing Blade, last year's Dewhurst winner. He hasn't absolutely consistently lived up to the high reputation the Dewhurst winners usually have, but he's had some tremendous form abroad. He was well beaten by Shavian in the St James's Palace at Royal Ascot, but he won the Prix Eugene Adam at Saint-Cloud in France, and then went to Germany his last run and was just beaten by Turf Koenig at Munich. The question is how well Ray Cochrane can get him settled. He's can be very free in a race. As you can see, he's sweating up a little bit. There's nothing to worry about that, except that it might make Ray's reins a bit slippery.
Yeah, he's been a little bit disappointed in actual fact, Dashing Blade. I thought he was the best of the 2-year-olds last year, and potentially the best form for a 3-year-old. He's a lovely big horse, lots of scope, and really, although he's won that Group 2 race abroad, to me hasn't really lived up to my expectations. I'd love to see him run a big race here.
And there's a gallant campaigner who's had 6 runs this season, relief pitcher, and has run some wonderful races. He has had some tremendous battles with Batsouf and was just caught, only just, at Royal Ascot. It might be close between them again.
He got visors on for the first time this afternoon just to make him concentrate. He's got the man of the moment in the saddle, Frankie Dettori.
And there's the 1,000 guineas second, Negligent. She unfortunately injured herself slightly in that race and's been off the course since, but clearly Barry Hills thinks that she's back now.
Yeah, lovely filly. Watched her win Newmarket at the back end of last season. It must be a big disappointment to the Connections. They haven't been able to get her on the race course since that run in the Guineas.
Derek Thompson spoke to Michael Hills, who rides Negligent, and asked him why she'd been off the course for so long.
Well, in the Guineas, she did an injury to her hock. I think it was a hock, one of her hind legs, and it was quite bad, and it took her a long time to recover. And basically, Father just took his time with her, and I hope she's back to, a form before.
Is she ring rusty or is she 100%?
Well, she's only ever had 3 runs in her life, so I think she's, obviously you have to ride her, she's going to be a little bit green, but I think her ability will make up for that.
Now, you ride her, but the stable companion, Missionary Ridge, has won his last 2 races. How'd you rate him?
Well, he's an improving horse. I do rate him quite highly, but I just hope I pick the right one.
So, pace could be injected by Missionary Ridge, made on the Gallignol, and Relief Pitcher was a front runner at Ascot. Perhaps not enough, who knows? That's it, they're lined up for this Jetmonte International, and they break away. And through the first furlong, it's Relief Pitcher who is the first to show. In the groove, steadied at the start. Terriman is last but one. And as they progress through the first furlong, it's Relief Pitcher leading, Dashing Blade taking a fearsome hold show second, Elmar Mull well placed third, Missionary Ridge 4, Dolpaul 5, Terriman 6, then Negligent, Batsouf, and In the Groove is the running order as they come down to the mile pole. And it's Relief Pitcher by a length and a half, the Dashing Blade in second, that's in the purple, the horse with a noseband, showing third in the blue, Elmar Mull, and then Missionary Ridge in 4, Dolpaul Green racing 5, Terriman Green hat in 6, the grey filly Negligent shows 7, Batsouf held up to come with that customary smooth run as they pass the 7, has just one behind him, and that one is In the Groove, is going to have to come with a run too. But from the front, Visor for the first time, Relief Pitcher leading from Dashing Blade second, and they've passed the 6th pole, then Elmar Mull racing third and Dolpaul, and then Missionary Ridge on the outside wide, tracking that one is Negligent. On the inner of Negligent, the grey is Terriman, then Batsouf, and In the Groove. So it's going to be a sprint this. They've passed the 5, halfway in the Jetmonte International, and Dashing Blade just ranges alongside Relief Pitcher. They head for home. Dolpaul in green comes wide. Missionary Ridge gets a view of the front. Negligent on the extreme left. In behind them, Batsouf is travelling well, maybe looking for room as they come down to the 3, and it's Dashing Blade with the noseband. Relief Pitcher runs a big race next to the rails. Dolpaul in green. In behind them, Batsouf is making a great stride and really tucked in. Willie Carson can't find room on Elmar Mull as they race down past the 2, and here on the wide outside comes In the Groove in the grey and red. They've got a furlong and a half to go, and from last to first it's Steve Cawthon on In the Groove, has got first one on them. Elmar Mull was boxed in, now finds the room. Batsouf starts the sprint, but In the Groove and Steve Cawthon surely have this. Elmar Mull next to the rails rallying. Batsouf gets a place at best, but it's In the Groove. In the Groove wins the Jetmonte from Elmar Mull, close to third. Batsouf and Terriman then behind these. Dolpaul, a gap of 6 to Missionary Ridge, Relief Pitcher, Negligent, and last of all was Dashing Blade. Confidently ridden Steve Cawthon. Steve Cawthon came from last to first to win this on this filly In the Groove, who has this remarkable track record here at York. This one in the colours of Mr. Brian Cooper, trained at Whispery by David Ellsworth, who took this filly to Newmarket to give her a gallop. Steve Cawthon rode her today, and he's a double for him this afternoon. Second is number 9, Elmar Mull, ridden by Willie Carson, and it's close for third with Batsouf, and also in that close place for third is, well, it just escaped me for the moment, I'm afraid. But anyway, it's In the Groove, the winner. Quite a remarkable race, and in as much as I thought at one stage that Batsouf was going to get there, that was really going well, but he got no sort of room at all. Elmar Mull didn't get the best of runs, and for my money, it was Steve Cawthon who actually won the race here. Mark Hugh. in the groove did help.
Well, the Eclipse hoodoo continues, and extraordinarily, no Middle Eastern owner has ever won this race. Even in its Benson and Hedges days, no Arab has ever won the race. And just see where Steve Cawthon comes from on In the Groove. There he is, last of all at this stage, and Willie Carson definitely short of room in behind Dashing Blade and Relief Pitcher, who've been disputing the lead. They've had it now. Dolpur and Missionary Ridge go on, and now here comes Steve, and In the Groove accelerates so electrically that she almost gets in front too soon.
Yeah, I'd imagine this was 2 furlongs out. Hopefully we'll see the head-on in a minute, because Batshoof looked like he was just knocked out of his stride a little bit. I don't think it's affected the result. This filly's absolutely flown once Steve's shown her the front. I thought, like you, that maybe she'd hit the front a little bit sooner than Steve would have liked, but Al Mamul had his chance and wasn't good enough. An amazing turn of foot, and we've said it so many times before, this is an amazing...
She never won very far, but it's a good habit to keep winning. Here's her last race at Every.
And as you can see, Wajd at this stage of the game has quite a little bit to make up, but Cash Asmussen hasn't asked her at that stage, and when he does, as you'll see, she produces a really nice burst of speed. Now he's beginning to just ask Wajd to quicken, and she goes past most of these pretty easily. Cash just waves his whip at her, but now he's put it down again. This is Echoes in the white noseband coming here with a challenge, but as you'll see, Wajd holds her pretty comfortably in the end.
Dahlia, of course, won the International 2 years. Here's Willie Carson on Hellenic, who was a last-minute withdrawal in the Irish Oaks, but she's already shown she's got plenty of class. She won at Royal Ascot and started this season winning splendidly here in May.
Hellenic, one off the fence, has the call from in second place Ballet Classic. Here comes Choir Leader in the pink colours under pressure. Valera is staying on, but then Shelfer finishing fast in the yellow colours on the wide outside. But Hellenic has got first run on all of them. And it's Hellenic clear by 2 from Ballet Classic, and Valera dueling for second third. Hellenic is the winner, and it's a photo second third.
And finally hidden from you there, number 2 Game Plan, who everyone thought had run above herself when she ran second to Salsabelle in the Oaks. She went to the Curragh last time out and spelt out her case almost perfectly.
They're racing now into the final quarter mile, and it's Native Twine who leads from Braeswick. Game Plan on the outside, then Careless Riding in Kostroma. A furlong out on the SeaWorld Pretty Polly, and it's Native Twine from Game Plan on the near side. Game Plan on the near side of Native Twine. Then comes Braeswick and Careless Riding in Kostroma, but Game Plan is the leader as they race up towards the line. Game Plan and Basil Marcus, the Oaks runner-up, coming home here to win it by just over a length. Careless Riding is second.
And there is Cartagena. Well, Game Plan on the right, Cartagena on the left. Cartagena, who's the only blot, has 1 blot on her escutcheon, and that sadly was the day I had really, for me, quite a big bet on her, because I'd been so impressed by her at Newbury when she absolutely trotted up that I thought she would win the Oaks. Instead, she ran very, very badly indeed, so badly that it couldn't be true. It was much too bad to be true, and she's shown that since winning the Nassau at Goodwood in tremendous style.
And I think a lot of the reason for that bad run at Epsom was the ground was just a little bit sticky, a little bit testing, and she's a lovely moving filly, this, and probably just didn't suit her. Maybe she just wasn't quite herself either. Well, it's a fascinating race, this, and there's Game Plan. The thing I like most about this filly is the fact that Clive Britton said since that run in the Pretty Polly at the Curragh, she's improved beyond all belief. He said he's never had a horse improve as much as this. We're keeping our fingers crossed. Clive's horse is in great form. Cartagena's last in. She's 15-8. All yours, Graham.
And as they go through the first furlong, paces could be a problem, but Cruising Heights and Patadery are going to take care of it, and they lead by a length. So it's Cruising Heights the leader, Cartagena shows second, Ruby Tiger the grey next to the rails third, sharing that place with Wajd in 4, length and a half back to Game Plan, and then just 6 of the 6s Hellenic in the very pale jacket. No change through the first quarter mile, and Cruising Height leading clear by a couple of lengths now to Cartagena in second, a gap of 2. to Game Plan going through into third, and then Ruby Tiger in 4 and Wedged in the maroon white sleeves in 5, and then Hellenic is 6th. Little change as they come down towards the mile pole, and the pace looks quite a good one. Pat Edery makes the running on Cruising Heights. From Walter Swinburne on Cartagena in 2nd, and then Game Plan is 3rd, followed by Ruby Tiger and Wedged, and the back marker is Hellenic. And they pass the 7 pole, and it's Cruising Heights still showing the way. Cruising Heights, daughter of Shirley Heights, clear by a couple of lengths to Cartagena in 2nd, and then Game Plan showing 3rd, followed at the halfway stage by Ruby Tiger next to the rails in 4, and then Wedge on the outside 5, and Hellenic is 6. They turn into the home straight with 5 furlongs to go, and it's Cruising Heights leading from Cartagena in 2nd, and then Game Plan showing 3rd as they head for home. And they're in the home straight, still Cruising Heights from the front. Cruising Heights from Cartagena and Game Plan, and then Wedge, and then Ruby Tiger and Hellenic with quite a bit to do. And then coming down towards the 3, and Cartagena starts to make ground on the outside of Cruising Heights, and Pat Edery now goes to work as Cartagena applies the pressure, and these come 2, 3 clear of Wedge, looking one place at this stage. Ruby Tiger runs a big race, and a brave race too, but Cartagena has the call now by a length and a half. Ruby Tiger, Wedge, Hellenic. Game Plan won't be winning, and Cartagena is starting to tire as Hellenic on the left and the pale blue puts in a big run. They're inside the final furlong, and it's Hellenic who takes up the initiative now from Cartagena in 2nd, but Cartagena fights back. Hellenic has the answers though, goes on by a length, and Hellenic wins it. Cartagena and Wedge in a photo second, 3rd. A big gap to Ruby Tiger and Cruising Heights having their own battle for 4th place, and last of all was Game Plan. The result then of this Aston Upthorpe Yorkshire Oaks, it's a win for number 3 Hellenic in the colours of Lord Weinstock, trained at Newmarket by Michael Stoud, ridden by Willie Carson, and that means that Willie Carson has ridden more Yorkshire Oak winners than anyone else. Lester Piggott had ridden 4 winners, and prior to today Willie Carson had ridden 4. This makes it 5, but there was a little bit of an incident in the closing stages. Cartagena just had to be checked by Walter Swinburne with about 50 yards to go, and she is in a photo with number 6 Wedge, the French runner, who I must say at one stage with 2.5 to go really had no sort of chance at all. The head-on will be revealing in this race, this Aston Upthorpe Yorkshire Oaks. It's a Group 1 race, and at this stage it's gone to Hellenic.
Take a look at the head-on first, because as you can see, Cruising Heights still in front at this stage. Cartagena just about to take over, and Willie Carson still with an awful lot to make up on Hellenic, but now he's got her out and gets the daylight. There is a steward's inquiry called, and that's absolutely no surprise, because when Hellenic comes to Cartagena and past her, I think you'll see that she hangs to her left across Walter Swinburne, who's forced just to ease Cartagena. It's not very bad. In fact, you saw Walter had already put down his whip before that happened. I wouldn't think too much of a worry, John.
I wouldn't think so at all. I think he was just quite lucky. Well, he was unlucky in the first place that he chose the wrong horse of Michael's to ride, and he was said all along it was the most difficult choice he'd ever had to make out of picking a couple of horses. And I think he was quite lucky to just hold on to second place in the end. I think probably that he didn't realise Wedge was coming quite as quickly as she was.
And Willie Carson coming back on Hellenic, returned Burlington Bertie, the 100-30 second favourite, and he beats Cartagena, the 15-8 favourite, and Michael Stout 1-2, despite some ease in the betting that would happen, with Wedge 3rd at 7-2, and that Hellenic is the 8th filly to complete Royal Ascot's Ribblesdale Stakes and the Yorkshire Oaks Double. Sally Brown and Shooter Line did it in the 80s, and among the others to do it was the Queen's Almeria, who won both races 33 years ago. But back comes Willie Carson. Professional opinion, as you've heard, is that he'll keep the race, but a great gasp went up from the crowd when they saw the head-on pictures shown on Channel 4. There's a great Citroën-sponsored screen right in the centre of the track. The crowd saw it, they gasped, and they're worried if they backed Hellenic Carthagena backers feeling they might have just a glimmer of hope. There's the huge screen right in the centre of the track. All people were watching that, watching the head-on Channel 4. That's what they're hoping for those who back the favourite, that the result will be overturned. The bookmakers don't seem to think so down here. There's no betting on it, but Hellenic will lose the race. She's returned Burlington Bertie 100-30, and the pros think she'll keep it.
And now we can see the reverse angle of the finish from our camera inside the course. Now Cartagena is just taking over from cruising height, and Willie Carson on Hellenic is out the back there, 3 from the left of your picture with the yellow cap. Cartagena just coming past cruising height. And now you see, Willie has got an awful lot to do from there, John.
Well, Graham was saying how much that Wadge had to do. Willie was the first to come under pressure as they rounded the home turn. I thought, well, you know, they're going to have to...
Horn Dance, Opera Ghost and Hot Room all show at 33s. Penny Forum and Folk Dance at 50s. Stone Float the Outsider 100-1, all coated for the Tote Ebor.
Well, awful lot with chances here, but Further Flight was favourite when we last saw, and was very impressive last time out, winning the Tennant Trophy over 2 miles at Ayr. Came through to lead on a tight rein and won with a great deal in hand. There's a very considerable chance that Further Flight might win for Barry Hills and Mr. Wingfield Digby.
He wasn't doing handstands that day. It was on much softer ground than today's, and I would imagine you'll see him up there somewhere near the firing line. This horse, he's one of 3 greys, and they've all got a chance. The other, of course, is the much lighter grey Bean King, and the other one is First Victory, Richard Hannon's runner. Well, while they're walking around, I'll just tell you about one that looked outstanding in the paddock to me, and that was Mr. Abdullah's Cambo. Pat Edry rides that one. There in the foreground is number 12, Holy Zeal, David Arbuthnot's Alzeo Colt, and he's been in good form this year, Holy Zeal, and he was second at Rippenham over 1.5 miles to Secret Society last time out, and he didn't really get the best of runs that day, and he's actually finished in front of First Victory at Newcastle over 2 miles before that. He's got a good chance. He's definitely unlucky, I thought, last time out.
News from John now.
Well, this isn't the most open Ebor there's ever been. They 10-1 the field when Great Rock was favourite. Morecambe's year, 1957. There's no doubt this is wide open, but Star Lord is now emerging favourite. He's now 13-2 favourite, Star Lord, from 7-1. And you remember when he ran here last month, our own Jim McGrath picked him out just after the race as a possible Ebor horse, but he's certainly be back like that. It's then 15-2 now, Further Flight. The anti-post favourite for so long, favourite early on. The course is weakening now, 15-2. An 8-1 Trained Lot. Some bookmakers are calling 9 Trained Lot. The horse that I'm such a clot I can't go and find when I want to. It's 10-1 against First Victory and 12 off the record. Other horses, bits and pieces for Roller Dollar, 16-1. Some bookmakers calling 12, and also local derbies being back 14 and 12, and Discord 14-1 into 12-1 Discord, and it's 13-2 the field, and 9 Trained Lot.
And there's the horse that I was talking to you about earlier. That's Cambo, and he's by Roberto, this horse. And the one thing about Mr. Abdullah's horses, Vivian Morgan Jones picks a lot of them out, I know, and a lot of homebred, but they're always very good looking individuals. And Cambo was second to Hatil, good horse of Peter Warwin's to Haydock last time out. Hasn't had all that much run. He's relatively fresh, and he finished behind Barish at Sandown before that, and in actual fact at Newbury, not at Sandown. And he certainly meets that horse on better terms, and he certainly looked fit enough to do himself justice.
He's a little bit planted there just at the moment. The stalls handler trying to tempt him in with some grass. There's Barish going through the picture with the blue and white striped hat. We've seen him several times this season, and he's gone really well. But here's First Victory, an interesting one. Well, he won a race at Sandown back in May, but then ran really well at Royal Ascot, again against my old friend Hattil, who's been improving so marvellously this season. When he won the Bessborough, first victory was very close behind him. He was 5th in the Northumberland Plate since then. That wasn't quite such good form, but on his form with Hattil, he'd have the same chance as several others.
Quite a number of these horses have been running against each other over the last 2 or 3 runs, and it'll be surprising if any of them go on to do the great things that last year's winner Sapience has done this season. He must have been one of the biggest certainties ever in this race. Usually throws up a decent horse, but it's very odd that one should go on to be quite as good as Sapience. And he ran off of 8 stone 4 last year. Starting to load up now. Nasheed there on the far side. Blue colours of Hamdan Al Maktoum, just gone to 12 to 1 now. One of the 2 Alex Stewart runners here. The other one, of course, Star Lord. Pat Edry just taking the weight there off of Cambo's back. Just slipped in is Mark Birch on Holy Zeal.
I was talking to Willie Carson beforehand, John. He said he had the second choice of 2 stables. He had the second choice, of course, on Hellenic, Walter Swinburne having chosen Cartayana. And now he's got Nasheed, second choice to Star Lord, which has been chosen by Michael Roberts. Well, it's worked once for Willie. The stable jockey's got it wrong. And it's not at all impossible that Michael Roberts might have got it wrong between Nasheed and Star Lord as well. Let's have a look at the betting now.
Star Lord now the clear favourite on 13 to 2. Further Flight 8 to 1. Train Glot at 9s. First victory on 10s together with Holy Zeal. Off the record at 12 to 1 along with Nasheed. Local Derby 14s together with Discord. Roller Dollar is now 16 to 1 from 14 to 1. Cambo also at 16s together with Nafsawa. And Star Lord's just gone 7 to 1. So now 7 to 1 the field. 20's bar.
That's number 17, Hot Rumour, not behaving too well. His jockey Kevin Darley has got off briefly, is now about to get on again. I said that Michael Roberts chose Star Lord, and so he did, but of course Willie Carson is also riding for his retaining owner Hamdan Al Maktoum on Nasheed. Well, Hot Rumour not behaving at all well. Penny Forum in the background there. Michael Wigham on Penny Forum, who's trained by John Sutcliffe. He didn't run that well in his latest run at Ascot, but he'd won before that at Chester and Warwick. That's Penny Forum. And in the first colours for Sheikh Mohammed is Dean McEwen on Local Derby, certainly one with a chance. He's won 3 races this season.
It's not seeming a heavily betting race, the Ebor here. It's going 7 to 1 Star Lord. They did bring it into 13 to 2, back to 7 to 1. With Further Flight, who has touched 9 to 1 on the boards, but it's an 8 to 1 chance generally Further Flight. And 9 to 1 now Train Glot. It's 10 to 1 Bar, that's first victory, very solid. And Money for Holy Zeal has brought that in from 10 to 12, from 12 to 10 to 1. Oh. Further Flight's now a 7 to 1 chance, and they're joint favourites for the Ebor. Star Lord and Further Flight at 7, and it's 9 to 1 bar the 2. Only once since the war have there been joint favourites for the Ebor. It's 7 to 1 each of 2 at the moment. This Star Lord and Further Flight. And it's 10 to 1 bar the 2 now, 10 to 1 Train Glot. Remember, the last favourite to win the Ebor was 14 years ago.
And this race is going to be nearly 14 years late to start. It's about a quarter of an hour late already. I can't quite see why, really, but there's a tremendous crowd waiting for it, but they have been waiting quite a long time, and those are the splendid boxes from which people who are being given various kinds of hospitality can get a tremendous view of the Ebor. And there's still 1 or 2 to go in. That's Nafsawa, Michael Stouts, 7 to 1 Star Lord, and Further Flight now, 10 to 1 bar those 2. Nafsawa won her last race. It was only a maiden race at Newcastle. but she might very well be improving. Well, as Nassau goes in, with Opera Ghost in the background there, the best of luck to them. Personally, my money, if I had any, would be going on Off the Record. What about yours, John?
Well, I think if you had to nail me down, I'd probably go for Further Flight the way he won last time. Or, as I said, Cambo. Opera Ghost looks keen. Graham, hope you are.
Indeed, so do I. This is the Toto Ebor. It's 1 3/4 miles, and coming through the first furlong, it's Roller Dollar and Train Glot is taking a keen hold wide. Cambo is up for the pace. Horn Dance well there. Barish well placed. So too on the wide outside of the pack is Linpack West. Looking for one of the favourites, that's Star Lord. Oh, about 6 behind it. And one of those is Further Flight. Last of all is Opera Ghost. Last but one is Being King. Last but 2, Holy Zeal. From the front, Train Glot for Yorkshire sets the pace. Clear by a length to Cambo in second, then Nafzawa coming through on the inside of Horn Dance and Stone Flake and Limback West, then Barish, followed by Penny Forum, and mid-division is Lawrence Courage, a length back then to Discord. And behind Discord is Local Derby, Off the Record, and behind Off the Record is Star Lord, then Nasheed, followed by Further Flight, and further behind that one races First Victory, and then behind these comes Hot Rumour, and one of the back markers is Holy Zeal. Up front, it's Train Glot in the lead as they pass the 9. Train Glot by a length and a half to Cambo in second, Nafzal in green racing third, White Cap, Horn Dance 4, red colours Impact West 5, red cap is Lawrence Courage in 6, and then comes Barish with a white sleeve 7. Nasheed is 8, a length and a half behind these. Local Derby 9. Star Lord just being niggled along, and these are followed by Discord, and then behind these comes Nasheed. Further Flight's getting a great run through on the inside as they head towards halfway, and they race down to the point 3/4 of a mile from home, and the streamlined Alan Munro. Train Glot in the red jacket leading from Patedary on Cambo in second place, then Nafzawa moving up on the inside. The top weight Horn Dance is close in 4, then comes Impact West 5 and Lawrence Courage 6. Roller Dollar starts to make ground. Star Lord in the orange colours makes ground wide. That'll be on the left, there he is, or he's still there with 4.5 to go. From the front, Train Glot, oh so brave this one, and they race down to the 4 furlong. They're homeward bound now, and it's Train Glot in the lead from Cambo, with up on the outside trying to come with a 1 Barish, and just in behind these comes Roller Dollar, and these are followed by Nafzawa, and then behind that one is Lawrence Courage, and also trying to make good ground is a grey First Victory. At this stage doesn't look as if Local Derby will be winning, but they race down to the 2 furlong marker, and here the grey First Victory together with Further Flight, who's opened up, come to take Train Glot, and they're inside the final quarter mile, and it's First Victory, and on the right Further Flight. These 2 clear of Train Glot, then Roller Dollar, and from absolutely nowhere Holy Zeal comes with a run. Being King's on the wide outside, gets its first call now, but it's Further Flight who goes further ahead as they come inside the final furlong, and Further Flight, Holy Zeal, First Victory, and Being King. It's between these, and Further Flight gets there. Further Flight beats Being King, Holy Zeal, then First Victory and Train Glot, a gap of 4 to Barish, and then came Local Derby, and behind these Penny Forum and Roller Dollar and Horn Dance and Opera Ghost and Nafzawa, and then Discord, and then behind that one raced Nasheed, and behind Nasheed was Stone Flake, and behind Stone Flake was a good old folk dance who never really got into the race at all. Star Lord finished last, and so too right out the back was Off the Record, a disappointing run. Also out the back Impact West, and eventually Hot Rumour and Cambo were also well and truly beaten. But the result of this Tote Ebor, it's a win for number 16, which is Further Flight in the colours of Mr. S. Winfield Digby, trained at Marlborough by Barry Hills and ridden by Son Michael. Second is number 5, that's Being King. Steve Cawthon brought that grey with a strong run late, so greys have finished first and second. Third horse home was number 12, Holy Zeal. That was fancied each way for a very long time for this race. At the halfway stage, it had no chance whatsoever. It was third, staying on very well. I think we'll find that the 4th horse home was yet another grey First Victory.
And we join them coming round the final bend with hopes at Malton for Jimmy Fitzgerald, and Train Glot still high because Alan Munro hasn't really asked him for an effort yet. He's in front of the Aga Khan Zafzawa and Cambo, whom John liked so much in the paddock. Train Glot still there, Zafzawa beginning to fade, And now you can, in fact, see the winner for the first time, the grey head of Further Flight with the black sleeves coming through, coming past Horn Dance, who's run well yet again. And at this moment, first victory, another grey, flatters on the outside, and Holy Zeal, who's been fancied for such a long time, flatters even further out. But neither of them can get to Further Flight. He's proved his stamina at air, and now he's proved it again.
Yeah, this was no race for the faint-hearted. Trained got to take them along at a tremendous pace. And to be fair to him, he stayed on right in the closing stages.
Pharaoh's Delight 25s, Carol's Treasure 33 to 1, Paul George at 50s together with Blighton Lad, and they all show.
Now, as I've told you, Mr. Nickerson and Carol's Treasure are supposed to be going in last together. There is Carol's Treasure in the extreme background. So Blighton Lad still to be led in by his trainer, and Dayjur is out the back there as well. There is Carol's Treasure, who's shown some real good form in various sprint distances. Back in April, he won the Field Marshal up at Haydock and didn't run badly at Sandown later in the season. But today, well, he's going to have to rise well above anything he's shown for a long time now. 7 races out of 38 is his record, all told.
And double carpet 33 to 1 Carol's Treasure. Some of the rags are being backed. Blighton Lad's into double carpet 33 to 1 from 50, and it's 16 Lugana Beach and Mr. Nickerson are into 16 from 20 to 1, but it's still 6 to 4 on Dayjur, 11 to 4 Argentum, 16 to 1 bar the 2. Any result outside the front 2, tremendous for these bookie chappies.
When we've been describing Mr. Nickerson as looking like a quarter horse, they're horses of tremendous power which literally run over 2 furlongs in America. He, of course, has won many races, 10 races in fact, mostly over 6 furlongs, but they've all been round a bend. That's the difficulty he faces today. This is the first time he's ever run up a straight course. Now, there they go, Carol's Treasure and Mr. Nickerson.
That's it, Dayjur 6 to 4 on Argentum, 11 to 4. Stato plus 16 to 1, Mr. Nickerson. The start is vital and they break away. And the Nickerson horse, the American horse, has missed it. Dayjur gets there early. Lugana Beach is on the right with Stato Blessed, and Willie Carson is taking no prisoners. He's clear by 2 as they race for the first furlong. It's Dayjur in the lead. The American horse, Mr. Nickerson, with the white bridle. On the left is Pharaoh's Delight, tracked by Carol's Treasure and then Blighton Lad. Lugana Beach and Stato Blessed is on the left, and they come to the halfway stage in this Keeneland Nunthorpe Stakes, and it's Dayjur, the English sprinter, in the lead, showing the best of his way home. Is clear by 3. Stato Blessed and Mr. Nickerson in second, then Pharaoh's Delight with Lugana Beach. The rest can be ruled out. They've only got a furlong and a half to go, and Willie Carson isn't hanging about. He's still in the lead on Dayjur, clear by 2. Stato Blessed on the right puts in a big finish. Pharaoh's Delight is third, Mr. Nickerson fourth at best. Carol's Treasure picks up, but it's Dayjur from Tramps to line, and Dayjur is clear by 3 to 4 from Stato Blessed. And as they race up towards the line, Dayjur has it. Dayjur the winner, Stato Blessed second, Pharaoh's Delight third, 4 was Argentum, 5 Carol's Treasure, 6 Lugana Beach. Nickerson beat 2 Blighton Lad, and Boyle George with those. Boy oh boy, Hamdan Al Maktoum is going to have some sort of cavalry. First is number 8 Dayjur in his colours, trained at West Ilsley by Major Dick Hearn and ridden by Willie Carson, his 141st winner of the season. Dayjur the 11 to 8 on favourite. Second is number 6 Stato Blessed, ridden by Frank Editori. Third horse home is number 9 Pharaoh's Delight, the mount of Ray Cochrane. Sadly, Mr. Nickerson never really got into the race. He may just have been a bit cramped at the start, but he didn't really hit those gates, and he never really asserted. I must say, going down to the start, he looked a very powerful beast indeed, as we've all mentioned. But all credit to Dayjur, the son of Danzig, bred by Georgina E. Hoffman, out of the mare Gold Beauty. Willie Carson really hot at the moment. Mark you, everybody else at York is too. But Willie Carson riding like a man possessed, and from the stalls he was going to dominate. He knew he had the class. He had the class horse, a son of Danzig, Dayjur.
I don't believe that Willie Carson is going to let the Argentum camp forget that they said Dayjur would make just a nice lead horse for Argentum, because as the gates open, Mr. Nickerson misses the break, He was expected to break in front. Dayjur broke in front, in fact, and stayed there throughout. Willie, my golly, he really means business. And in the form he's in, and the position he's taken, well, they had something to catch.
Yes, after they'd only gone 2 furlongs, there was only one horse, and that was the eventual second, Statablest, who was remotely on the bridle, and he's already under pressure under Frankie Dettor. Just look at this horse, he's 3 lengths clear. These are the top sprinters in the country, and he really has to win a sprint of this calibre by 3 lengths. I think he's probably one of the best sprinters I've ever seen, John. He's 1 over 6, but he's a very, very fast horse indeed. He's won 2 or 3 lengths, and full credit to Statablest for keeping on as well as he did. But there you see, he's put an awful lot of...
4. Atlantic Flyer, 9-2 from 4s. Dance Ahead, 9-1. And Ashira, 10-1.
Well, in the distance we heard the starter saying, come on, I think. The 5 jockeys don't seem to be taking too much notice of that. That's Michael Roberts in front on the right. Richard Quinn, and you can hear Bill Rees, the starter, shouting, come on! Trot on! Trot on, he's saying. Well, they don't seem to be taking too much notice of Bill. Bill, the starter, Bill Rees, that is, if you remember, was one of our very top jump jockeys of a few seasons ago and rode many winners for Her Majesty the Queen Mother, and was for a long time Peter Caslett's first jockey, the late Peter Caslett, that is. There is Steve Cawthon on Jaffa Line. Steve, I think, has also, or in fact that's Atlantic Flyer with Michael Roberts. Michael from South Africa. A very nice filly this by Stormbird, John. Getting a little bit warm.
Yes, well, a lot of the runners will be getting warm today, Jimmy. We're getting a bit warm up here because as at the main meeting, it's really very hot. Jaffa Line on the right. Unfortunately, when she won here a few weeks ago, it wasn't one of the races we covered, but she came with a very good late run to beat Glowing Ardour. As the starter shouts, round you go, jockeys, let's have a look at the betting.
And Shimmering Sea has gone to 11-8, Jaffa Line 5-2, Atlantic Flyer 9-2, 9-1 bar.
So one of the outsiders, O'Shara coming in, the other Dance Ahead going out. This is the second favourite we're looking at, Jaffa Line, with only 5 runners. Could be that the jockeys will be wondering who's going to make it. Have you any ideas on that subject, Jimmy?
Not really, John, I haven't, because most of the 5 runners have been ridden for a bit of finishing speed in their races, and well, I would have a little bit of betting if they're not going to go any gallop. But Steve, he doesn't mind being in front, does he, John?
No, maybe that the jockey who makes it won't have any choice anyway. Well, Shimmering Sea will be the last in. Here's Peter O'Sullivan.
Yes, that's it. Under orders, and they're away. Shimmering Sea taking him along in the early stages. Shimmering Sea going on from O'Shara, then Atlantic Flower on the inside. The back marker is Jaffa Line. Shimmering Sea by 2 from O'Shara, who's 2 up on Atlantic Flyer, with Dance Ahead next and Jaffa Line, the back marker of the quintet, and they're going a real good gallop too. And it's Pat Edery on Shimmering Sea, still by 2 from O'Shara, who's a length and a half up on Atlantic Flyer, with Dance Ahead next, and still Jaffa Line and Steve Cawthon. Steve biding his time as Shimmering Sea leads still from O'Shara, virtually unchanged the order so far. Atlantic Flyer 3rd, Dance Ahead 4 and 5, Jaffa Line, still Shimmering Sea by 2 from O'Shara, being pushed along now, O'Shara by Richard Quinn. Atlantic Flyer eased out by Michael Roberts, Dance Ahead next, and then comes Jaffa Line, on whom Steve has not yet moved. It's Shimmering Sea being pressed now by O'Shara, with Atlantic Flyer coming there towards the right of the picture. Dance Ahead is next, and then trying to get into the picture now is Jaffa Line as they race down towards the furlong pole. It's Shimmering Sea the leader from Atlantic Flyer towards the near side. Jaffa Line coming between horses. O'Shara's not done with yet, and it's a very wide open race as Jaffa Line comes to take it as the race towards the line. It's going to be one for Stevie Cawthon. Jaffa Line wins it from O'Shara. Judge will probably go for a photo, but Jaffa Line's won O'Shara, with Atlantic Flower and Shimmering Sea next, and then Dance Ahead. Officially it's a photo finish, but no doubt that Stevie has won this on number 4, Jaffa Line, owned by Mrs. P.J. Sheen, trained by David Ellsworth, with second. Number 2, O'Shara, owned by Mr. Fard Salman, trained by Paul Cole and ridden by Richard Quinn. Third was Atlantic Flower. Officially, as I say, it's a photo between Jaffa Line, the finisher on the near side, and O'Shara, the finisher on the far side. I don't think there's any doubt about it. See what you think.
Well, a terrific race to watch, and Pat Edery, after a furlong, decided to make it a real good gallop on Shimmering Sea, who didn't quite get home. O'Shara is the first one to throw down the challenge, but look at the trouble that Steve's in here. He wanted to push out and come round his field, but Walter Swinburne quite rightly held him in. But then Atlantic Flower, to his very good fortune, drifts away to the left, although Michael Roberts is riding with his whip in his left hand. And the split comes here for Steve, and luckily he's got a filly who's good and responsive enough to take it. In the end, there's enough room to drive 2 London buses through, and Steve asks his filly, who was so unlucky in her second run, but was such a courageous winner here at the big meeting. Now she puts her head down. Steve pulls his whip through to his left hand, asks her to quicken. But on the inside, O'Shara still got plenty to give. This is only her second race, still entitled to be a little bit green, and she hangs on really well to Steve's filly, and Steve has to ride Jaffa Line right out to the line, as on the far rails Shimmering Sea weakens, and it's Atlantic Flyer who runs on into third place. There's not much in it at the line, but no doubt that Jaffa Line's won it by a head or a neck from O'Shara second. Well, here you'll see how Steve had his good fortune. I think he was still toying with the idea of having to go round the lot, but luckily Atlantic Flyer made the decision for him by just drifting a little bit away to the left, creating that opening for Jaffa Line to go through. And Jaffa Line takes the opening. Steve says, thank you very much, and thanks. Thanks the powers above that it's his lucky day. It wasn't his lucky day here 2 years ago, because this was the day he had that terrible fall, of course. Disappointing at the back, Dance Ahead. The ground's just possibly a little bit lively for her. But Atlantic Flower drifting towards the centre of the course, despite Michael Roberts riding with his whip in his left hand. That gave Michael no chance to get the best out of her, although she's run on to be third. And Shimmering Sea, well, she just didn't come home. As the boy said in the paddock, she might be a better filly when she strengthens up later in the season or next year. But look at the game response from this daughter of Highline, Jaffa Line, as she passes the post ahead by a head.
Lingfield, he really did blot his copybook a bit on that occasion, but looking at him there, he really is a good-looking colt, this, and if he runs back up to the St James's Palace running, well, he could give Lanfranco another winner here today.
That's your latest news of betting.
Well, the first and second favourite coming closer together in the betting. Shavian still favourite, but 5-2 now. Lord Flory 11-4. Mirror Black is 3-1. Suffer 1 7-2, and Candy Glen 10-1.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt about the tactics here. Shavian will go off. Steve will try to dictate it, keep a little bit in hand. They'll queue up behind him. Walter Swinburne, I hope, will be the last to challenge. Lord Flory will be a little bit closer than he was at Ascot, and I think it's going to be a hell of a race. Yes, Peter.
Yes, I think you're right, Julian. That's Mirror Black, the last in of the quintet. That's it, under orders underway. And Shavian goes straight to the front. Shavian going on from Candy Glen in second, and then Mirror Black. And then Lord Flory with Sufferman, the back marker of the quintet. And Steve is determined to stretch him. He's opened up a lead of 4.5 to 5 lengths over Lord Flory in second and Candy Glen third. 4 is Mirror Black, and Sufferman is about 10 lengths off the lead at least as they race past the 6 marker. Shavian and Steve Cawthon from Lord Flory and Frankie Dettori. Then comes Candy Glen, and behind Candy Glen is Mirror Black, and Sufferman's really got to do from there as they race past the 5 pole and racing into the stretch now. As they do so, it's Shavian by 4 from Frankie Dettori on Lord Flory. A gap then of 5 lengths to Candy Glen, who's 2 up on Mirror Black, who's 3 up on Sufferman. Into the straight and less than half a mile to run now, about 3.5 furlongs to go, and it's Shavian from Lord Flory in second and Candy Glen third. Mirror Black's under pressure in 4, and Sufferman Safawan is a mile behind him at the moment, well inside the final three. Shavian still maintaining this tremendous gallop from Lord Flory in second, Candy Glen third, Mirror Black under pressure in four, and Safawan will surely never get to them from there inside the final two, and Shavian and Steve Cawthon from Lord Flory, and Steve really stretching Shavian now as Candy Glen moves into second, Lord Flory third, Mirror Black four, Safawan with no chance of getting there inside the final furlong. Shavian will clear of Candy Glen in second in this Beefeater Gin celebration mile, and what a celebration for Shavian. He's got this sewn up, he races to the line, the comfortable winner. Shavian is the winner, and Candy Glen is second, Lord Flory is third. It's a photo for fourth between Safawan and Mirror Black, but what a stunning performance this by Shavian, owned by Lord Howard of Walden, trained by Henry Cecil and written by Steve Cawthon. Second was number two, Candy Glen, owned by Mr. Antonio Balzarini, trained by Chris Wall and written by Ray Cochrane. And third was number five, Lord Flory, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Luca Kumani and written by Frankie Dettori. That's number 110 of the season for Steve Cawthon. Number 43 here at Goodwood in the last 5 years, and a double, of course, for Henry Cecil, his 87th winner of the season. This is Shavian we're looking at now, and here's how he won it.
This was an absolutely staggering performance. He went off at a pace that you couldn't believe that he could keep up, but he's kept on galloping to the line. Safawan never got into it. He got detached from the race and probably lost interest, but there's no fault attached to rider or horse there. And Candy Glen has run a marvellous race on the inside to finish second to this really brave front runner. No excuses at all for Lord Flory today. An exceptional performance by the son of Chris.
This is the St James's Palace form, right back to his best. Shavian with Steve Cawthon, who really judged his pace today because he didn't hang about, and it's a very bold move in a Group 2 race to run a race like that right from the front, and he was niggling him with about 3 to run, and as you see there, he's asking him for everything, and in fact he did lengthen and go to the post again. But what a run too out of Candy Glen, with the only one that could really hang on to his tail at all, but a terrific performance from Shavian.
It'll be fascinating to hear the time for this race, because he's answered every question that Steve's asked him, and he's really run to the line here, and this was a really spectacular performance. Henry Cecil's first success in the race since Chris, this horse's father, won the race 11 years ago, and this horse has got terrific courage and ability. And Steve, well, he couldn't let up for one moment after the question he'd asked of him, and this horse has responded in every way and won in terrific style.
And Michael Roberts, Kostroma and Stephen Crane, El Malmoul and Willie Carson, third in the English Derby, and El Malmoul the 2-to-1 favourite. Old Talker River, the mount of Declan Gillespie, Somares and Steve Cawthon, Splash of Colour and John Reed. Well, a mile and 2 furlongs. Oh, one more rider, Tanwi and Wayne Harris. Going good, all 8 ran, a mile and 2 furlongs, £96,500 to the winner, and here's how the Irish commentary team saw it.
Going in very quickly, El Mamoul, gone in, Willie Carson, the favourite, 2-to-1 in our last show. Looks as if we're ready for the Phoenix Champion Stakes. And they're off, and El Mamoul broke quite smartly towards the inside. Splash of Colour is right up in the front line, and Tanwi on the inside as they race towards the end of the first furlong, and Tanwi on the inner going on from El Mamoul in second. In third place comes Sickiston on the outside. Then in fourth place, Splash of Colour. They're followed by the French hope Somares on the right of picture. Just inside Somares is Kostroma. Batchouf is on the inside, and the rank outsider Old Talker River brings up the rear as they head up towards the top of the course. They've covered just over a quarter of a mile, and Tanwi cutting out the running. El Mamoul in second. Sickiston comes next 3. Then in a line, Batchouf on the inner. Alongside him, Splash of Colour. Kostroma towards the outside of that one. Wide of Kostroma is Samares, and Old Talker River, the back marker, as they go into the turn at the top of the track. And it's Tanwi in the lead. Tanwi and Wayne Harris making the running from El Mamoul. Willie Carson in second. Then Sickiston on the outside. Kostroma just in behind him with Splash of Colour. Batchouf is on the inner as they swing around the turn into the straight. Tanwi, El Mamoul. Sickiston is in 3. They're followed in fourth place by Kostroma on the outside. Straightening up now with almost half a mile to cover, and it's Tanwi the leader from Sickiston on the outside. El Mamoul towards the rail, then Splash of Colour on his outside. They're followed by Batchouf and Kostroma. Saumarez just in behind them, racing towards the 3 furlong marker now, and Sickiston moves up alongside Tanwi. El Mamoul being pushed in 3. Splash of Colour trying to deliver his challenge in 4. They've 2 2.5 furlongs to race, and Sickiston hits the front from Tanwy. El Mamoul being scrubbed along now by Willie Carson in third place as they race towards the final 2 furlongs, and El Mamoul responds on the outside to tackle and head Sickiston. In third place is Tanwy. They race towards the final furlong. El Mamoul, Sickiston, Tanwy back in third. They're coming down now inside the final furlong, and El Mamoul, the favourite, Willie Carson driving them out. Sickiston in second. In third is Tanwy, then Batchu from Kostroma, but racing up towards the line, El Mamoul from Sickiston. El Mamoul home in the Phoenix Champion Stakes. Sickiston's run a cracker in second, but El Mamoul's won at Sickiston second, 3 Kostroma, 4th place for Batchu, 5 Tanwy, 6 a disappointing splash of colour, and they're a long way clear of Somaraz, who was a big disappointment, and Old Talca River, well, predictably he's last of the 8 runners. So El Mamoul, owned by Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by Major Dick Hearn and ridden by Willie Carson, responding to pressure in the gamest possible style and running on to win the Phoenix Champion Stakes from Sickiston, one of the longer shots, who ran an absolute cracking race there, Ted.
Ran a smash and got a smashing ride off of Michael Roberts too, because he closes in on the pacemaker Tanwy and makes Willie come around him a bit there. Willie has to chase a little bit to get up into position here with Sickleson. And it's a great race from here. Sickiston is still in front here, but gone about a length or 2 clear of Tanwy, who's run a cracker, obviously making a good gallop there, running on her own merits, but making a good gallop as well. El Mamoul comes to challenge Sickiston here, and these two draw right away. But El Mamoul is, as he showed all year long, he's as game as they come, puts down his head and really loves racing. Sickiston has lost nothing in defeat. In actual fact, he has gained something in defeat. He's run his best race for a long time under Michael Roberts. But once Willie Carson gets El Mamoul into full flight there, Willie pumping away, chasing away, this horse lengthens, and I say he appreciates this really nice ground here. A lovely free moving horse, and Willie gets a couple of smacks into him there, away he goes. It's a lovely racehorse, this fella, because there may be better horses in training him, but they're a non-gamer. Puts down his head and stretches himself and really loves racing. Kostroma has run an absolute cracker to finish third there, her best race for a long time, and Batchu, who ran free early on, stays on to be 4th. But the winner has gone clear a furlong down, not going to be denied. Willie just flicking the stick at him here in the last half a furlong, and he keeps on up that relentless gallop. Just the way he wears himself, the carriage of it, a lovely type of racehorse, stretches. He's anxious to run, anxious to race, and he must be a lovely ride for a jockey too, because he's going with you every step of the way. No little ducks around.
At 7s from 13 to 2, 16 to 1 bar those. 3 genuine Group 1 performers in the race. That's number 2, Stato Blessed. Another very, very sparse sprinter goes into stall 6. And there we have Dayjur about to go into stall 3. Let's join Julian for this very, very exciting sprint.
Yes, they're going in very quickly, and Royal Academy went in first without any difficulties at all. They're under orders for the Burnans, and they're off, and Dayjur burst out on the stand side. So does Dead Certain, who's very fast away on the stand side. And towards the centre, it's the French Challenger, who is running very fast indeed, Ron's Victory, and Great Chaddington's also, Todd is also up there with the leaders. But it's Dayjur on the rails. Willie Carson's got over to the rails, and he leads by 2 from Todd in second. Ron's Victory on the outside, tracked by Duck and Dive. On the outside is Ferris Delight making a bit of ground. And Dead Certain is not running a race at all. Look at her head. Dead Certain dropping right out of it, the same as happened at Newbury. It's Dayjur on the rails, pressed by Todd. On the outside, the Frenchman Ron's Victory. Here comes Great Commotion with a big run as they race down past the 2 furlong marker. Dayjur by 2. Great Commotion coming to challenge. On the wide outside, it's Ron's Victory battling on. But Dayjur is storming clear. This is a sensational performance. Dayjur going 4 or 5 lengths clear on the ground that he doesn't really like. Here comes the Irish Challenger Royal Academy, closing the gap a little bit, but Willie Carson's cruising home on Dayjur. Dayjur, a real champion sprinter. Royal Academy pursues him home, but Dayjur wins it at the line. Royal Academy is second. Ferris Delight is third. 4th was Great Commotion. 5th was the French Challenger Ron's Victory, then Duck and Dive, and then Todd. And last of the 8, or last except for Dead Certain, was Stadaplest. Dead Certain, who had a complete off day today, but a sensational success for number 3 Dayjur in the Ladbrook Sprint Cup. Dayjur, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by Major Dick Hearn and ridden by Willie Carson. Second, number 6 Royal Academy, owned by Classic Thoroughbreds PLC, trained by Vincent Lebrun, ridden by John Reed. Third, number 9, Ferris Delight, owned by Aldera Bloodstock Holdings, trained by Peter Hudson and ridden by Michael Roberts. The 4th horse was number 1, great commotion. The winner went through the speed trap at 40.79 miles an hour. That's not quite a world record. A steward's inquiry has been called. They must be inquiring into how far Dayjur won, but no doubt something happened in behind the first two. Let's review the entire race with Jimmy Lindley.
Well, this is one that I've been waiting for the whole season. You saw Willie bounce Dayjur out of stall 7, tack his way across to the rails, because this is where the fastest ground is. But just look how much speed he's got under wraps here. He actually is keeping him back a little bit because he's got that extra furlong to go. His last 3 races have all been over 5. Like in the Nunthorpe at York, he let him really blast. But now, after he gets to the 4, just look at him, give him that little bit of rein. Look at the French invader on the outside, in fact, trying to get into the race. This is, in fact, Ron's Victory, who'd run him so close at Ascot to the last furlong, and then Dayjur had that little bit up his sleeve at Ascot. Well, he's going to prove it again today. The French invader, that's him, Ron's Victory, the chestnut on the white outside. But let's go back to his main challenger in a moment. That's John Reid, right back in behind the rest of the runners on the Royal Academy, and he knows that he's really only got one to beat here today. He goes for the split there, and this is what the steward's inquiry might have been about. John Reid now sets Royal Academy after Dayjur, but Dayjur has saved that little bit, although he's coming back all the time to Royal Academy. For me, walking around the paddock, the Irish invader looks like a miler, but he can run like a sprinter as well, catching him all the way to the line. But what a true sprinter this Royal Academy is. A lovely individual by Danzig, as Willie Carson just takes the saddle off. And there you can see in the wheelchair his handler, Major Dick Hearn, his trainer. Well, there's no better trainer in the world to produce an animal on race day. And in fact, since he had that horrible hunting accident, this is the first time that he's visited Haydock since then. And what a lovely time to come back to as well. There is the star of the day, winner of the Ladbrook Sprint Cup, Dayjur, and probably the fastest sprinter in the world today. A pretty warm favourite, 2-1 on just before the off. Let's catch up with the SPs.
Yes, first number 3, Dayjur, 2-1 on favourite. Second number 6.
Right. Thank you, John. Let's try and anticipate what... Oh, Snurge just lashing out there. He's just been a bit keen down at the start, trotting around and just starting to get a bit hot, starting to sweat up, and he's certainly lashing out with that heel. We would imagine to see River God, certainly, if not making all the running, then Steve Cawthon asking that horse to cut out quite a bit of the work, a guaranteed stayer. And if he tries to ride the horse for speed, well, Hellenic may be able to do him. Hellenic, the short price favourite, bidding to break a hoodoo for Walter Swinburne in this race. But Hellenic is at 2-1. River God at a 130 and Snurge at 7-2, 9-1 bar, and Snurge is eased in, so they're lined up for the 214th and Ledger. And that's it, they break away, and through the first furlong it's Coringa Bay and Rubicund who take up the running. River God settled third, Hellenic 4, then her Jade on the outside of Great Marquis, followed by Snurge and Pierre Damiani. And that's the order as they settle down and race away. So River God's held up in third place as Coringa Bay and Rubicund, and it's Rubicund now that takes it up in the white cap. From in second place Coringa Bay, showing third River God, 4 is Great Marquis, 5 next to the rails Hellenic, 6 on the outside is her Jade, and the blue cap is Snurge, and last is the rank outside of Pierre Damiani, and it's Rubicund. Willie Carson, who's won 3 St Ledgers in the past on Dunfermline, Sun Princess and Minster Sun, he leads by a length and a half to Coringa Bay, with River God on the outside showing and sharing that second place. Then Hellenic well placed in 5, sharing 5 with Great Marquis, and then 3 at the back are her Jade, Snurge, and running through on the rail is Pierre Damiani. They've completed the first half mile, and it's Rubicund leading from River God in second place, and then showing third is Coringa Bay, then in 4 is Great Marquis and 5 Hellenic, and then her Jade on the outside of Snurge and Pierre Damiani. As they head towards the halfway stage in the 214th and Ledger, let's check the SPs, with Rubicund leading, Hellenic's the 2-1 shot, River God's 130, Snurge is 7-2, 9-1 bar, that brings in the leader Rubicund, and they race down 0.7 furlongs from home, and it's Rubicund leading from River God in second, and then Coringa Bay Bay third and Hellenic 4, and Pierre Damiani ridden along next to the rails. Great Marcus has just Snurge and Hajay behind as they begin the turn into the home straight, 3/4 of a mile just over left to race, and it's Rubicon leading by a length to River God in second. Rubicon from River God, then Coringa Bay with a noseband next to the rails, the red hot favourite Hellenix in the pale blue jacket, well placed in 4. Great Marcus, Jade is running wide, Pierre Damiani is giving up the struggle. They've got under 5 furlongs to race, and it's still Rubicon in the lead from River God up on the outside, and significantly they've raced wide, and now Steve Cawthon asks River God to go. Coringa Bay comes through next to the rails on the inside of Rubicon. Hellenix in River God's sight, and River God is being hard ridden, and he has the lead though, and Snurge is travelling well in the blue and yellow, and they come down towards the 3, and Hellenic now on the left comes through to take River God, but here comes Snurge bursting through on the inside. They've got 2.5 to go. Hellenic in the pale blue, Snurge on the right in the blue cap. River God is beaten. They've got over 2 furlongs to race, and Hellenic has it. Snurge next to the rails. River God is one pace. Rubicon is out of it. So too Coringa Bay and her Jade. And with 1.5 furlongs to go, it's Hellenic really hard ridden. Snurge is running through next to the rails, and with 1 furlong to go, it's Snurge who takes it up, and it's Snurge with the surge. It's Snurge going on. He's going ahead of Hellenic the mare, and as they race up towards the line, it's Snurge who's going to win this race. Snurge wins it, Hellenic second, River God third, Rubicon 4, Great Marcus 5, then Coringa Bay.
Laurent Perrier behind Bog Trotter last time, beaten 8 lengths by the winner. Might be a little bit out of his depth here, 33 to 1 from 25 to 1, but a nice rangy type of horse.
A lot of light underneath him as well. Most of the jockeys from the first were reporting that in fact the ground's riding a little loose, and so his chipping off that rain must have got in quite a bit. Well, we've got a little bit of a change in the market. There it is, 11 to 8 now, Jaffield from 6 to 4, Green Turban 11 to 2 from 5, 6 to 1 bar those two, the other two that the public want to support here today. I think we'll see a fair pace on here, and well, I hope so, because when you get a bit of a gallop you always get a truer result than when it's a forced run race.
Yes, to qualify Jimmy's comments about the going, they were kicking the top off it, but the time for the first race was very fast, 1 minute 26.48, which is within 1/4 of a second of the course record. So it suggests that underneath that loose top is probably pretty lively ground underneath. There is Mujasif. It's very attractive. Here's Peter.
That's it. And Green Turban just dwelt fractionally in the stalls at the outset, and Prodigal Blue is going on in the early stages with Jaffield towards the near side. Then comes Stone Mill. Behind Stone Mill is Paleng, and then Mujasif. Behind Mujasif is Sunset Street, and then Hailsham, and finally Green Turban, who just missed the break. And Prodigal Blues making it from the favourite Jaffield, and then Paleng towards the right of the picture as we see them. Behind them, Hailsham, the white cap. Stone Mill is right up there too. And Mujasif is tracking Jaffield at the moment. Jaffield with Prodigal Blues on his outside. Mujasif tracking Jaffield, and that's Stone Mill tracking Prodigal Blues as they race into the home turn now. Prodigal Blues and Jaffield from Mujasif, and then towards the outside Stone Mill trying to get on terms, Steve Cawthon, as they come down towards the 2 furlong pole, and Jaffield takes it up from Prodigal Blues. Stone Mill towards the outside. Willie Carson bidding for a double here, but here comes Walter Swinburne to take it off him quickly on this $1 million coat, and going ahead now Mujasif striding ahead of Jaffield, and here's a 1-2 for the Mactoum family, a 1-2-3 in fact a 1-2-3-4 when you see them past the line, because Mujasif is the winner, Jaffield is second, Stone Mill is third, and fourth is Hailsham, and they're all Mactoum runners, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 4 runners in the field. And so the result, first number 4, Mujasif, owned by Sheikh Mactoum Al Mactoum, trained by Michael Stout and ridden by Walter Swinburne. Second was number 3, Jaffield, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by Major Dick Hearn and ridden by Willie Carson. Third was number 7, Stone Mill, owned by Sheikh Mohammed and trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Steve Cawthon. And fourth was number 2, Hailsham, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Clive Britton and ridden by Michael Roberts.
But it just shows what a bit of confidence will do for a horse. He had a pretty tough race his second run at Goodwood. Michael sent him up to Thirsk, had an easy race there, and now he thinks the game's easy. He's pulled out here, and he's gone past Jahafield, almost as though he was standing still. Stone Mills threw down a good challenge in the centre, but from now on, the only winner was Mujasif.
Another Triumph for Aladar here, and just look how he gallops this little horse. He just wandered a little bit to his right there, and Walter Swinburne had just to straighten him up, but that could be the fast ground, as you can see. Hanson Hills, you couldn't win easier than this, and Jaffa Hill running second. Well, he's no slouch, so this is a good performance. See just how he spread-eagled the rest of the field.
Well, Joe Mercer rode the winner of this Royal Lodge Stakes in 1970, 1979 and 1981, and he'll be in the winner's circle now because he's part of the management team of Sheikh Maktoum Al Maktoum. But the sensational outcome to this 55,000 of the winner Royal Lodge is that there is a steward's inquiry. There is a steward's inquiry. Meanwhile, this is the $1 Million Yearling by Alidar out of Miss Snowflake by Snow Sporting, who was very readily first past the post in the Royal Lodge William Hill with the starting prices I'm asked to call for as follows.
And remembering the steward's inquiry is pending. First, number 4, Mujazif, 11-2. Second, number 3, Jahafil, 11-8 favourite. Third, number 7, Stone Mill, 7-1.
Quite sure whether it affects the first, but they'll sort it out and we'll bring you the result of it. And then the big race next, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. That's the 2:45. We'll be there in good time. We're motor racing now. It's the Formula 3 Championship. It's reaching the conclusion of the season. This is how it stands going into the race we're about to see. The Finns dominating things. It's round 15 at Donington. Tony Jardine is the commentator.
Round 15. Donington Park, the British Formula 3 Championship, all eyes on Mika Häkkinen. The first of the two flying Finns. He could take the championship here today if he wins. Steve Robertson is our camera car, but Häkkinen's on pole, Paul Stewart alongside him. Then the second row, Christian Fittipaldi and Philip Adams. Then Peter Cox and Steve Robertson on row 3. Row 4, Minoru Tanaka and Hideki Noda. Row 5, Jason Elliott and Julian Westwood. They're just completing their warm-up lap, coming towards the grid now. Chief Marshal there with the yellow flag. There's Häkkinen on pole position. Paul Stewart alongside him in the Paul Stewart Racing Rolt Mugen. Both these cars have got the Japanese Mugen engines, but Paul Stewart has been the sensation of practice. He was only pipped towards the last few minutes by Häkkinen. Häkkinen had a disastrous first practice, but he then got it all together, really concentrated, and took yet another pole position, the 7th of his British Championship season so far. Second row now forming up. They are now at a standstill, and the Class B runners are coming round through Goddard and forming up onto the grid. And it will be a tremendous flurry of activity as all 30 cars get off the line. One of the largest grids this year for the British Championship. The yellow flag is down. All eyes are on the starter. The red lights are turning to green. Häkkinen quite slow off the line there. Paul Stewart equaling him for a moment, but tucking in behind him. Third place is Fittipaldi. Someone darting out there. It was number 1, Steve Robertson, on the outside. And going all the way round the outside at the moment is Paul Stewart. And here we've got a tremendous view from Steve Robertson's cockpit as they exit through Hollywood and down towards the Craner Curves. 5th gear flat out. 130 miles per hour. Stewart's in the lead. Häkkinen second. Fittipaldi third. Adams fourth. A fantastic start. The car in front of Robertson rides up on the curbs. Notoriously smooth here at Donington. Häkkinen not having any of it, locking up. Stewart locking up as well. Brilliant stuff. And behind there is a major crash. It looks like Paul Stewart's teammate Higgins has gone off. And there are cars all over the place. Frantic Formula 3 racing. It looked like Tanaka in the background as well. It is. Higgins, Tanaka, and upside down Jonathan McGaw. Let's hope he's all right. The marshal's talking to him. You can just see his arm at the side there. Let's pray he's okay. They're pushing that car back over because that's the 21-year-old from Belfast. Jonathan McGall in the Swallow Rolt. RT34, he's out, thank goodness for that. And Tanaka came round through the sand to have a look and see if he was all right. He must have had the shock of his life there. He just tosses the steering wheel up in the air and has a look. Robertson challenging Fittipaldi, and it was very, very close. What a close shave there indeed. And Robertson going down the inside this time, and bang! They made definite contact there. That must have knocked our in-car camera, but it's come back on again. And Fittipaldi has rejoined after that incident with Robertson. There was another incident fractions of a second earlier. Let's have a look. There we are. Higgins and Tanaka seem to have sandwiched McGall, and McGall gets flicked up into the air and over onto his hoop and into the sand. And as we saw earlier live, he's okay. Paul Stewart leading at Donington after setting the pace during the photo test midweek. Hakkinen second. There is the Dutchman, Peter Cox. And he is the man who tangled with Mika Salo at Brands Hatch, but he's in third place. In the last 5 races, Cox has failed to finish, so he's looking for a good finish here. Fourth place there is the R&D Reynard, so that's good performance from Jason Elliott, and Rolly Vincini will be very happy with that. Reynard, the Works Reynard, they're trying to develop that car to tackle these Rolts, which at the moment are in first, second and third places. Father Jackie Stewart will be watching this race keenly. His son at the moment is showing all the talent, but the aggression that he has lacked at some races is there. It's back. Stewart battling with Mika Hakkinen, the Finn who could take the championship here at Donington. Stewart trying to...
Rocky picks him up to race. He really lengthens and gets much closer to the ground.
But he looks really good and relaxed today, despite that desperately tough race that he had last time in the Prix de Moulins, when he caught Lenamex in the very last stride, under the strongest driving from Pat Edrick. City Dancer upside him, and behind, or in between those two, is Mark of Distinction, who's got a real shine on his coat today. He's been off the track since he went over to America to run in the Grade 2 handicap at Atlantic City over 9.5 furlongs. 10 weeks ago. That was a disappointing run, but of course he was a brilliant winner of the Queen Anne Stakes here at the Royal Meeting. Loves the top of the ground, and it is really fast ground today, despite that bit of rain we had.
Looks exceptionally well in the paddock too. He's a lovely colour actually. He's a very deep brown horse, nearly black, but well, he's got a lot of ability, and I think we'll see young Lanfranco de Torre riding him for a bit of foot towards the end. So I don't think Peter will be calling him too early. There's Linamix, the French invader, drops away a bit behind the saddle. Also, he hasn't got the greatest quarters in the business, but nevertheless, he's a classic performer. He ran a super race, I thought, at Deauville when he was second behind Parolo, but perhaps one of his best races was at Longchamp when beaten by distant relative, and that day his pacemaker led him into the straight, but with about 2.5 to run, he wasn't quite good enough to take him any further. Well, Freddie Head, or G. Moses I should say, set him alight that day to try and go and win his race. He broke about 4 lengths clear, but distant relative pulled him back right on the line. I think we'll see Freddie Head holding him much later today, Julian.
Yes, Freddie's replacing Gerard Mosse, because they say Gerard Mosse hasn't had much experience of riding in Great Britain, but I dare say that perhaps they were a bit disappointed. The owner was perhaps a bit disappointed to get beaten that day, because Lenamex really did look Chinese odds on until Pat Edrick threw down that final assault. Not very big, but of course he beat Zoman in the Poule d'Essai de Poulain earlier this year, before palpably failing to stay in the Derby. He's 5-1 from 11-2, so there's a fair amount of support for the French challenger, trained by Francois Boutin, who's had such wonderful successes in this country, but of course some disappointments as well, notably when Trépin was disqualified after winning the Prince of Wales Stakes at the Royal Meeting. But he's won the best turned out prize for his lad Daniel Patou. He won £100, so that'll be about 1,000 francs at the present exchange rate, I think. Green Line Express, number 3. Well, what a tough little horse this is. He's not perhaps quite good enough to drop his head
in front in a Group 1, but he never runs a bad race. He's run against all of the best throughout England and Europe, and well, he never gives in. He keeps going right to the line. Just getting a little bit warm, as you can see there, but he's sure to run another strong race here today. I think this is the first time, in fact, that Walter Swinburne's ridden him, Julian.
Yes, indeed. Michael Hills rode him in his first race this year. Cash Asmussen was retained to ride him for Mr. Boussac, but it was considered that Cash didn't get the best out of him in the Sussex Stakes. So then Frankie Dettori rode him at Doncaster and gave him a beautiful ride, got his head in front on the line in the Kiverton Park Stakes, and of course Frankie's not available today, so Walter's been bought.
Tony Cruz actually I think was going to ride him, but he had to fly back to Paris to ride for His Highness the Aga Khan, so Walter came in for the ride today. And nice and quietly now, very quickly. There's the bet in, Tyrrell 7-2, 4-1 Shavian, distant relative at 9-2, 5-1 Bardos.
So the stage set for the highlight of this fourth festival, the 1 Mile Championship of Europe, a first prize of over £206,000 and a reputation to go with it, which will ensure a great career at stud, or a great start to a career at stud. And distant relative, a son of Habitat, well, he's one of the ones who the breeders will have been particularly keen to look at, the classic winner Linamix.
I'll never forget, I rode in a race similar to this, Julian, and there was an animal in it very much like Shavian, and everybody knew it was going to go on. Well, he missed the kick and threw the race into utter turmoil after that, because everybody that wanted to hold up was left up there.
Candy Glen is the last one. Here's Peter O'Sullivan.
That's it. City Dancer nearest to us, under orders, and they're away. And on the near side, Green Line Express going on. And on the far side, Candy Glen, but now Shavian. Shavian takes it up from Green Line Express. Linamix is right up there with the pace in fourth. Just in behind him comes Call to Arms. And distant relative is one of the back markers with Croupier, and being chased along there too at the moment. And Shavian, the leader, past the sixth pole from Green Line Express in second, and Candy Glen 4. Then comes Tyrrell on the inside. Right up with him is Call to Arms, then just in behind them comes City Dancer and Linamix, and then Market Distinction and Croupier, and then Distant Relative and Pat Edery, last of the field of the 10 runners at the moment, as Steve still blazing the trail on Shavian, who's got a 3-length advantage now over Green Line Express. Then comes Candy Glen and then Tyrrell, then comes Call to Arms and City Dancer, then Market Distinction and Linamix, who's been chased along by Freddie Head and making no progress at the moment. Then Distant Relative and Croupier is now the back marker, swinging for home, and Shavian has stretched him. He's got 2.5 lengths over Green Line Express in second. Then comes Tyrrell making ground on the inside in third. 4 on the outside is Candy Glen, and then comes Call to Arms, and behind them Distant Relative is now making ground with Market Distinction. And Green Line Express comes to tackle Shavian. Green Line Express comes to tackle Shavian and take it up, but here comes Distant Relative, who's come from last to first with Market Distinction making strides with him. Distant Relative on the near side, Market Distinction on the far side, Frankie Dettori on Market Distinction, Pat Edery on Distant Relative. They're racing head for head for the line. There's nothing between them. Market Distinction on the far side is going away though, and he's going to win it at the line. Market Distinction is winning. Distant Relative is second, and Green Line Express is third. 4 was Croupier, and 5 came Shavian, and then Linamix and Candy Glen, and then the disappointing Tyrrell, and then City Dancer, and finally Call to Arms. And so the result of the 1990 Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, first number 4, Mark of Distinction, owned by Mr. Gerald Lee, trained by Luca Comani, and ridden by Frankie Dettori. Second was number 2, Distant Relative, owned by Mr. Wafik Saeed, trained by Barry Hills and ridden by Pat Edery. And third was number 3, Green Line Express, owned by the Ecurie Foustock, trained by Mohammed Mubarak and ridden by Walter Swinburne. Fourth, and here's the shock of the race, fourth was number 7, qualifying for a £15,526 prize, was Croupier.
What a fantastic race. And look at the ground that Distant Relative's given away. It's come into the straight, and yet he's got there a furlong out and looks sure to win. Frankie Dettori, likewise not in a very promising position, but pulls out just about at the same time Pat does on the right of the picture, while up front, Shavian, who ran such a terrific pace, comes to the end of his tether and is headed by Green Line Express. But already Pat's got there on Distant Relative, who looked to say he was going nowhere early in the race. But Frankie Dettori has come at the same time time, and now it's a battle royal between these two. Pat riding with his whip in his left hand, Frankie Dettori changing his reins, and his horse wandering over to the far rail, and now Frankie riding with his whip in his right.
How the race changed going to the quarter of a mile out, but what a race both these jockeys rode. Mark of distinction, Lanfranco Dettori, distant relative Pat Edery. They've both given their all, these two horses, and well, I think this mark of distinction today, everything's gone right for him. He's been able to come off the pace, and he's just proven what a good horse he is.
The greatest success in Frankie Dettori's career, and he's kept his head, because sometimes this horse carries his head in a way which looks as though he's not enjoying his racing. The two of them have come from off the pace at the end of this terrific gallop, and they're both tired horses, make no mistake. They've wandered away to the right. You'll see Mark of Distinction now drifts away to the right, but is clear of Green Line Express. Distant relative who came with that terrific run early in the straight to get there, can't find any more. He got there in the last stride in Paris. He's got there too soon in a way today, and it's Mark of Distinction who's run on the stronger, the hardier of the two, under a terrific ride from Frankie Dettori, gaining the most important success of his life. Mark of Distinction, the champion miler of Europe.
Frankie Dettori on his 120th winner of the season. This 6-to-1 winner of the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, a son of known fact who won this race in 1980 out of Gillane by Ice Capade, 86th winner of the season for Luca Cumani. A really tremendous performance to win this 206,500.
Two from sixes, 6-to-1 are those three. There's been a fair old pace on in all of our races here today, and the times have been riding really fast. They're only just short of the track record in the big race today, and I think we're going to see these fillies go around in a pretty fast time as well. The number 7, Majmu, will be going into stall 3. Willie just coaches her in. Peter.
That's it, they're all in. Shamshir nearest to us. And they're away. Third Watch just dwelt a tiny bit in the stalls there, and Glowing Ardour going on in the early stages, with Third Watch actually moving up on the inside now to come and dispute it. And Third Watch takes it up now from Glowing Ardour, and Orshera has gone third. Majmu's there over on the far side. Then comes Shamshir and Lofty Lady in there, being followed by Atlantic Flower. But it's Pat Edery taking him along on Third Watch. Third Watch in the lead now towards the left of the picture as we see them from this angle. Glowing Ardour's one from the left, and over on the far side is Majmu. And tucked in behind Majmu is Shamshir on the inside, and over on the far side Safa. Safa's actually behind Majmu with Glowing Ardour, and on the near side on the left of the picture, that is, we see them now, Pat Edery still on Third Watch. They're racing now towards the home turn in this Brent Fillies mile, and it's Third Watch towards the left of the picture, Majmu in the centre, towards the right is Glowing Ardour, being followed by Safa. Orshera's going well, and Shamshir's well in contention over on the far side. Then comes Atlantic Flyer into the home stretch now, and as they do so, Third Watch and Pat Edery, the leader from Majmu. Towards the outside is Glowing Ardour. Shamshir comes next, and then Safa coming down towards the 2 furlong pole, and Willie Carson takes it up now on Majmu. Majmu with Glowing Ardour running fast towards the stand side, and it's Glowing Ardour now takes it up, but here comes Shamshir. Shamshir now, and now Safa coming to challenge. Shamshir on the far side, on the near side it's Safa. Shamshir and Safa, once again it's the Maktoum family who are monopolising the Brent Fillies mile, and as they race to the line, Shamshir quickens away from Safa, and as they come to the line, Shamshir wins it from Safa. At the line, Shamshir the winner, Safa is second, and third is Atlantic Flyer, and fourth came Jaffa Line. And so the result of the Brent Walker Fillies mile: first, number 10, Shamshir, owned by Sheikh Mohammed, trained by Luca Cumani, ridden by Frankie Dettori. What a fantastic double for trainer and rider, following the triumph of Mark of Distinction in the big race of the afternoon, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. Second here was number 8, Safa, owned by Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum, trained by Alex Scott and ridden by Bruce Raymond. And third was number 1, Atlantic Flyer, owned by Mrs. B. Facino, trained by John Sutcliffe and written by Michael Roberts. Fourth was number 5, Jaffa Line.
What a sensational meeting Luca Cumani is having. Pat Edery made this a real good gallop, led into the straight on Third Watch. breathing down his shoulder there, or breathing down his neck, was Willie Carson on Majmoo, and Frankie Dettori just swinging off his filly behind. Walter Swinburne threw down a really good challenge on Glowing Ardour here, which just for a moment looked as though it might be successful, but the gap was there for Frankie Dettori to burst through. Meanwhile, on the outside, Bruce Raymond's come with a perfectly timed challenge on Safa. Look back to the dark blue colours and you see Atlantic Flower running on really well, but in the last furlong it was a duel between Safa and Shamshir, and as in the big race today, it was Frankie Dettori who held the aces. His fillies drifted over to the rails, which has helped him, while Safa, running only her second race, has run towards the centre of the course under Bruce Raymond's driving, swishes her tail a little bit, but the rail undoubtedly helped Frankie. But the best filly has won. It's another big race success for Luku Kumar. His success at this September meeting, Shamshir return.
Say, in fact, we love him, and what a great warrior he's proven to be. Let's have a look at the top four in the betting.
Argentum 4-1, Polar Bird 11-2, Ron's Victory on sixes with Dead Certain, and 8-1 bar those four.
There is, in fact, a Polar Bird, and very, very well supported in the market. He won a £7,500, won a £7,500 handicap at Newmarket in July, and got the better of Hannah Marie by 3 parts of a length on that occasion, John.
Michael Hills rode a brilliant race on her that day. She needs holding up, this filly, and he timed it beautifully, and she took the lead close home. At York, last time out, she carried 10 stone into second place behind Bertie Wooster, giving a stone and £10 to the winner, beaten only half a length, and she's only a 3-year-old, giving weight to older horses. So obviously she's got a great chance here, and is the best turned out.
Loves the fast ground too, John. She really bounces off it. Well, she's got it here today, and she looks really well still for a filly at this time of the year, John.
Number 13 is one we haven't seen, Rivers Rhapsody. Rivers Rhapsody won the Scarborough Stakes at Doncaster last time out, beating Never in the Red by a length and a half. Had 2 of today's runners, Afwaj and Be Fresh, well in arrears. She always comes with a late run, and John Williams rode an enterprising race. Most of the runners were racing up the centre, but John Williams came up the stands rails practically, and came with a great late burst, and subsequent events at the meeting proved that the stands rails was the place to be, and everyone wanted to be there from then on, and that's where most of the races were won.
She's won 4 of her 13 starts in her career. John Williams in the saddle, as you say, John, he's done exceptionally well lately. He's ridden 47 winners so far this season, when you think that he started his riding career at the same game as Desert Orchid. That was over timber, and he's always got a cheerful smile on his face. Now he says, well, I'm pleased that I'm riding on the flat. See if we can find the top weight for you. Number 1, Afwaj. There he is, a nice big strong individual this. He's by Caro, a horse that I had the pleasure of riding on a couple of occasions. I rode him in the Arc, in fact. He was 4th behind the Great Mill Reef. Afwaj, 20-1 from 25-1. Willie Carson in the saddle. He's a bit of a top of the ground specialist, this. And well, he's big enough to carry 9 stone, John.
Yes, he won a handicap at Newmarket earlier in the season under 10 stone, which was a tremendous performance. Surprisingly, he hasn't been all that successful since that good win, and he's 20-1 from 25-1. So it'll be quite a surprise if he's in at the finish. Number 8 there is Rushmore. Rushmore, trained by Clive Britton, who's well represented here today. Rushmore ran a longer trip at most of his races. He looked at one time as if he was going to be a top 2-year-old last year, but didn't quite fulfill his promise. I remember first time out he was considered to be a really good thing, but Didn't quite find as much off the bit as perhaps he should have done. He's got blinkers on today. He's ridden by Richard Quinn.
Richard Quinn, 2 classics to his credit this season, the English Ledger and the Irish Ledger, and has ridden 80 winners here as well. Wonder if there's any change in the market. Have a look for you. There it is. Argentum 4-1, still favourite. Polar Bird 6-1. Ron's Victory, the French Invader, 6-1. Dead Certain. Will she come back up on her best behaviour today at 7-1? And Pharaoh's Delight yet to win her first race of the season at 8-1, 10-1. Bar those 5. There's number 4. I think this is the last one to have a look at. She's getting very warm, Aloes, and well, her efforts have been always the best on top of the ground, and she always sweats, I think, John, doesn't she?
I think quite likely, Jimmy. I don't recall seeing her in her recent races, but she's finished well behind some of today's rivals in her latest races, so difficult to give her a chance. She has come in to 66-1 from 100-1, but I think 100-1's probably nearer her chance. Centerland just going in with the red cap. There's number 3, Dead Certain, in the background. As Julian and Jimmy said, she ran very badly at Haydock last time, throwing her head about, but she'd also run badly at Newbury the time before she'd went on to run a really good race here in the Cork and Orrery, so maybe it'll be the same again.
She is a lovely filly too, John, when you look at her there, isn't she? Look at those quarters.
She won the Queen Mary here last year and went on to win the Cheveley Park at Newmarket, so she's really got the class if she's in the right mood. 7-1 from 13-2. Polar Bird and Pharaoh's Delight just about to go in. They both go in nice and quietly.
What a great invention the starting stalls are, John. You remember when before we had them, the trouble that the starter used to have to line up a team of sprinters like this. They used to be all over the place. Well, although that the trainers said that they were the evil contraption, I think they're the greatest things ever happened to racing. Argentum 4-1, Polar Bird at 5s, Ron's Victory 13-2, Dead Certain at 7-1, 8 bar.
14 is Tadwin, carrying the second colours of Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum. The first colours are carried by Afwaj, and the other one in the picture is Rivers Rhapsody. I don't think there are too many to go in, but maybe one of them's got a little bit far behind, and that is Argentum.
Do you think there's a little bit of a trouble there, the blinds being fixed? I wonder if they'll break the track record here today, John. In fact, 1 minute 12.95 seconds. Dane Hill set that in 1989. Do you think they're going to get near it?
Well, I think although the ground's pretty good and maybe on the fast side of good, it's been a lot faster here, especially in the middle of the summer. So personally, I doubt it. Argentum just a little bit on edge, as I said earlier when he came into the paddock. He doesn't seem to be in the most cooperative frame of mind, but it may be different when the gates open. Let's have a look with Peter O'Sullivan.
Yes, that's it. They're all in. Afwaj nearest to us, and they're away, and a pretty good even break too. And Be Fresh is one of the first to show on the near side, the right of the picture. Dead Certain running very fast over on the far side. Pharaoh's Delight's up with them, and so is Centerland. Ron's Victory is not far behind the lead, showing there in the centre with his white face. And Be Fresh towards the near side. Pharaoh's Delight has the advantage, though. Blinkered for the first time, showing tremendous foot too. And it's Pharaoh's Delight from Ron's Victory and Be Fresh, with Dead Certain wide of the others over on the far side. Then comes Centerland and Rushmore in behind them, but it's Pharaoh's Delight, Ron's Victory in the centre for France. On the near side, Be Fresh. Polar Bird's trying to get into the picture too, and coming there towards the far side is Northern Goddess with Dead Certain. They're racing down now towards the furlong marker, and on the near side, showing with his white face, is Ron's Victory. Ron's Victory, who looks as though he's going to become the first French victory in the Krug diadem since 1947. He's striding away to win this in tremendous style. Ron's Victory wins it absolutely entirely on his own. What consolation for Freddie Head. He's right on Linamix. Ron's Victory the winner. Northern Goddess is second. Be Fresh is third. Polar Bird is fourth, and behind them came Pharaoh's Delight, who faded, and then Our Gentleman Rushmore, and then Rivers Rhapsody. And so the result of the Krug Diadem Stakes is a thunderous victory here for number 7, Ron's Victory. In fact, Ron's Victory the winner, and virtually the rest nowhere. Ron's Victory, owned by Mr. J.S. Morse, trained by Alain Fallour, his first triumph at Ascot, also the first time that Ron's Victory's lad had ever been here. Ridden by Freddie Head, the former champion of France. Second was number 10, Northern Goddess, owned by Mr. Nigel Harris, trained by Ian Balding, ridden by Ray Cochrane, and third, in fact, it's a photograph for third between Polar Bird and Tadwin.
Another terrific tribute to the champion sprinter-elect, to Dayjur. Remember what Dayjur did to this horse in the King's Stand. Well, Ron's Victory has done it to the rest of them today. Ferris Delight over on the far side ran very fast early on. Dead Certain ran a much better race, just beaten at Merry today. Oh, she's had a tough season, possibly just not showing her spark. Northern Goddess in the red colours comes through to challenge for the minor placings. But look at this French colt, showing form in total contrast to his run at Haydock, where the ground was a little bit too soft for him, and he really quickens well under Freddie Head's riding. Just stargazing a little bit there to the cheers of the crowd, but he's quickly gone 3 or 4 lengths clear. Very close behind Polar Bird and the Sangster colours in the centre there, as Ferris Delight drops away. On the outside, the upgraded handicapper Northern Goddess, she's run the race of her life, and Tadwin on the stand side in Sheikh Hamdan's colours comes through under Alan Munro. But the further they go, the further this French colt goes away. He's won by 7-8 lengths, a really spectacular performance. But remember that Dayjur beat him very comfortably in the King's Stand. Second is Northern Goddess, and third is...
Shaddai, the odds-on favourite next to the rails, and up on the outside of them, Jet Ski Lady. So Shaddai is on the left, Jet Ski Lady, and that's in the horse with the nose band, also in blue colours. And then just in behind them races Joyous Marquise, After the Sun, Kyalina in the hoop jacket, and Alexandra Fair is next to the rails. And now Shaddai has been taken back into second place under Willie Carson as Jet Ski Lady goes on. Jet Ski Lady the leader, from Joyous Marquise on the outside showing second. In the Sheikh Mohammed colours, Shathar is in 4th place behind Shadaid, and you can see that she's taking quite a keen hold, is Shadaid, this odds-on favourite to get Willie Carson off to a start. The back marker is Polemic as they begin the turn in. Now, the style of racing as they come to the halfway stage is that, generally speaking, they take their time for the first half mile or so, and then when they're in line for home, they pounce, and how. But it's Jet Ski Lady and Christy Roche leading. There's Shadaid with Shathar up on the outside. The second horse is Joyous Marquise in the black cap, worn by Frankie Dettori. They've got one more bend to take. Shadaid's back in 3rd place and just starting to race on a more even keel. She changes her legs there. That's at the last bend. They're in line for home, and Jet Ski Lady goes on. But Joyous Marquise comes with a run. Willie Carson pulls Shadaid up on the outside, and she starts to close. They've got just over a furlong to go, and Shadaid is pressing Joyous Marquise, and these go on from Jet Ski Lady, are fast on the wide outside. Kylie is coming with a run, but Shadaid takes it up as they race inside the final furlong, and Shadaid and Willie Carson give the Brits something to shout about, and Shadaid comes home clear, and up the line Shadaid is the winner. It's a photo second with Shathar on the inside of Kylie, and that's closed in that for the judge. After the Sun was 4, and then behind these Magic Knight, followed by Joyous Marquise, and Polemic is one of the back markers, along with Alexandra Fair and Jet Ski Lady. The result then of this Prix Marcel Boussac, and what a race this is for John Dunlop. He won it a couple of years ago, and he's won it last year as well. He's won it this year, more importantly, on this unbeaten Shadaid, trained in England by John Dunlop and ridden by Willie Carson. So she refused to settle early on, but when Willie Carson had her in full flight in the home straight, he punched, he pounced, and he went on, and he's taken 2 lengths out of the field, and this was the right tactics to employ, because on the wide outside, Kylino in the hoop jacket and Eric Legree there waving his arm about comes through to share a photo for second with the Sheikh Mohammed Shathar. It's a tight call for second place. The judge calls a photo between those two, but here she is, Shadaid. She's coming well clear, and in the end she won this very comfortably indeed. Willie Carson pumping away there, making no doubts about this Group 1 prize safely in the bag, and adding to his remarkable tally of French wins and big race wins so far this season in these blue colours of Hamdan Al Maktoum.
Well, you've got to say that Willie Carson stole in this race. He got the filly settled in 3rd or 4th place early on. As we've turned for home now, he's already beginning to challenge. Frankie Dettori's gone along with him on Joyous Marquis. And, well, it's an exciting way of racing the French have over here. They all wait and wait and wait to pounce. Well, they've waited too long this afternoon. And, well, you'd have had a good each-way bet here on Frankie Dettori's mount, Joyous Marquis, because he looks nailed on to be in the frame. And Willie Carson just poured Shadaid out then. She's gone to follow him, and he's got her out onto the other leg and really got her running, and has gone for home now. And, well, I don't know if you can hear it. Tremendous applause going up as they're on the way back to the winner's enclosure. This filly's really lengthened her stride now and quickened up well, Jim.
Yeah, she has. She's just shown her inexperience a couple of times in the race. In front, Willie Carson gives her a smack to go about her business, and as you pointed out, she wandered a little bit when she first began to stretch. And it was interesting to see how she responded under pressure today, because her 2 previous races, although Willie tried to teach her something first time out at Ascot, she learnt nothing last time she won so easily. But there's no doubt this is a filly with a lot of talent. She's not the greatest mover in the world, but my goodness, she's quick.
5 minutes ago, John Dunlop looked like death warmed up. A bit more happier now, John.
Warming up a bit. And the show of the betting was House Proud went off the even money favourite, back down from nearly 5 to 2. Even money House Proud, but look at the support for Zoman. That 8.5 is the off-the-track betting early, but the Brits really got going into Zoman, returned 2.4 to 1. That's just under 5 to 2. The best of the rest was a weak Val des Bois at 5.4 to 1, 8.9 to 1 Field Unique. Miss Ken Mare was a 9.3 to 1. Any price against the rest. It was between House Proud and Zoman in the betting. Good support for Zoman, but the locals certainly were House Proud.
And they break away, and Zerman in the dark green jacket breaks up well on the outside. House Proud, that's on the right of the picture. Pat Heddery in the pink cap is with Miss Kenmare and Fils Unique in behind them. Running the rail is Slew the Slewer in the starred sleeve jacket. And it's Slew the Slewer and Zoman, the horse with the white face. Richard Quinn in the dark green colours, a length ahead of House Proud, who's racing wide. Honor Regina behind that, then Miss Kenmare, Fils Unique. Slew the Slewer is now last but one. And also towards the rear at this stage is Val des Bois. So they start the turn, and River of Light is also at the back. They start one of their many turns and head towards the halfway stage, and it's Zoman leading. Zoman by a length and a half. From House Proud in second, Slew the Slewer in third, and then Honor Regina in the check jacket showing 4. Val des Bois is 5, and behind these River of Light in 6. But it's Zoman stretching as they head down towards the final turn. That's the chasing group. That's Honor Regina and Eric Legree in about 4th place. They've got one more bend to take, and it's Zoman with the call over House Proud wide in the pink cap. Showing third is Honor Regina in the check jacket. Slew the Slewer runs the rails in 4. Behind these comes River of Light, and they're in line for home now. And it's Zoman and Richard Quinn making the best of his way home. House Proud again is winner on the outside. Back in third is Honor Regina. They're inside the final quarter mile now. And it's Zoman and House Proud with Honor Regina making great strides on the outside. Val des Bois is putting in a big finish in the white sleeve jacket, but they're going to have to go to catch Zoman. They're inside the final furlong now, and it's Zoman and Richard Quinn from Honor Regina, who's eating up ground down the centre of the track. Zoman beats Honor Regina up the line. One for us, Zoman the winner, Honor Regina second. Fils Unique was third behind these Val des Bois, and behind Val des Bois was Miss Kenbear. Then came House Proud, followed by River of Light, and last of all was Slew the Slewer. And so Arc Day has got off to a terrific start with Zoman winning, ridden by Richard Quinn and trained by Paul Cole.
Superb judgment of pace there by Richard Quinn. Zoman returning exactly 5 to 2. That was the price against Zoman.
Dayjur there on the right of your picture. And John McCrick said he'd got very warm beforehand. He's got an awful lot warmer since then. And Jim, I don't actually remember the horse getting this worked up before a race.
I was just checking my notes. No, I don't remember either. But he's not actually on edge, Johnny. He just is pouring with sweat.
Yeah, maybe it's just the fact that he's had a journey over here. And one or two things, the big crowd, quite a few things. Certainly got his ears pricked, taking a lot of notice of what's going on. And he'll be running just about off a couple of lungfuls of air, I'd imagine, in this. So I wouldn't be too worried about him losing a little bit of sweat. I think that'll be the least of his problems when he comes out of those stalls.
The hooter went as John Reid walked across to the medical car, and presumably we'll expect an announcement shortly that the horse has been withdrawn, because from where John was going, obviously he's not going to ride it, and it's too late to change a jockey.
Well, Freddie Head won't be riding this. I think he's already been booked in the next race. Anyway, they're all in. All over to you, Graham.
So this takes just about a minute to run, and it's Boussac up with the pace. But Dayjur is so electrifying, and he's got that early call. Then Pharaoh's Delight with Touch of White trying to make it a race with Dayjur, and Willie Carson looks behind him to see where the others are. Mackeson was fined 1,000 francs here yesterday for crossing at the start too soon. But Dayjur is absolutely blazing. They race for the first quarter mile. He has it. Stato Blessed in the yellow cap shows second. Touch of White, yellow colours, is wide of Boussac, and then behind these Lugana Beach and Pharaoh's Delight. But it's Dayjur now, powers clear. They've come halfway, and it's Dayjur. He's pulled right away from these. It's clear by 3. It's a race for the place. They've got 2 furlongs left to go. It's Dayjur by 4, by 5. 2 in second place, Stato Blessed, and then Lugana Beach. Then Pharaoh's Delight and Touch of White, and Bousac's the back marker. No birthday present for Jack Berry. And it's Dayjur all the way. He's going to win this very tidily indeed. He's starting to just tie up a little bit, and Lugana Beach has come out of the pack to take second place at the line. Dayjur wins it, pulling up from Lugana Beach, Pharaoh's Delight and Stato Blessed. A big gap of some 4 to Boussac, who beats Touch of White. The result then of this Chigga Prix de Longchamp, it was very much a foregone conclusion as they went into the stalls. Drama with Whippet being withdrawn and not taking part, but number 1, Dayjur, has got it in the colours of Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained in England, of course, by Major Dick Hearn, ridden by Willie Carson, with it on the roll. Second is number 4, Lugana Beach. Third is number 5, Pharaoh's Delight. That's the 1, 2, 3 in this Chigga Prix de Longchamp, and Dayjur confirms his status as perhaps, or certainly, Europe's fastest horse, and who knows, if he goes to the States, the world's fastest horse.
It continues the amazing afternoon that we're having here at Longchamp. And Dayjur maybe not quite as quick out the stalls as he has been in the past. He just dwelt momentarily, and for the first half a furlong or so wasn't going quite as well as normally you'd expect him to. And at this stage, in the yellow colours there, just on the far side, and we've got Stato Blessed just behind him on the far side of Dayjur there. And I said to Jim at this stage, or rather Jim said to me, it doesn't look as though he's going as well as he was. And then all of a sudden, Willie Carson's just let out a reef, and you can actually see the horse begin to lengthen his stride. And I think it's at this point you suddenly see he puts about 3 lengths between himself and the others in a very short space of time indeed.
Yeah, there's the first change of leg, and immediate acceleration, changes again and powers away. And Graham reported he's just changed again. Graham reported Dayjur just tiring a little bit in the last 100 metres or so. He was, but Willie Carson began to ease him off, and it's this horse's remarkable change of pace from the front that's made him such a good sprinter. Remember, they run through here in about 55 seconds, and he's gone in the space of about 150 metres and put about 5 lengths between him. It's no wonder he gets a little bit tired. He really is a tremendous sprinter. There's a limit to what horses can do in a short space of time, of course, and it's his ability to quicken like that. Here, Willie easing him down now, and Lugana Beach stays on very well for second, with Pharaoh's Delight probably getting...
It's going to be Belmez, Surge and Salsabil. Jim, how about you?
Well, I came to the trials here 3 weeks ago, and I was very impressed with the run of In the Groove. I think In the Groove, Salsabil and Snurge. Snurge will be the last in. He'll be one of the shorter names for our erudite GG to call home. Have a good race, Graham.
Thank you, James. Snurge in yellow colours and yellow and blue, Niski in yellow and blue. Sheikh Mohammed's got 3 in this race. In the wings has got a white sash, and they break away. Antisar with a yellow sash. Now Salsabille's holding a good position. She's wide of the field on the extreme right, and she's settled about 7 or 8 as the pacemaker Abiad goes on from Al Badr. So we've got Abiad and Al Badr from Salmorez showing 4 as Sykeston, and then Hellenic well placed 5, Legal Case well placed 6, Snurge well placed 7. Then behind these Belmez is 8. Willie Carson's only got 5 behind him at this stage, and one of those is Ebor, and another one is in the groove, who's taking quite a keen hold. But it's Al Badr leading as they make their way behind the Petit Bois. Al Badr leading from Abiad in second, and then in third on the outside is Belmez taking a keen hold. Adaristan is close up there. Salmorez holds the position. Snurge is in the yellow and blue, racing prominently. Salsabil mid-division at this stage. And it's still Al Badr, the pacemaker from Abiad, then Salmorez in third, and then Belmez on the outside, racing wide and out of trouble. And Gary Carter's taking Steve Cawthon's line. He's wide on Ildaniski. Zartota is up there too. That's not that far away. Looking for Salsabil. Willie Carson's mid-division at this stage as they begin the first of their turns. There's Willie mid-division with Monsieur Reeve. One of the back markers is in the wings, and Padederi as they start the turn towards the halfway stage. And Al Badr leads by 3 parts of the length. Abiad in green is second, Salmorez is third, Adaristan well placed 4, and then up on the outside races Belmez well placed 5, and Salmorez is in third place. Salsabil is still mid-division, and just might be getting a little boxed in there. Pervier blows behind her as they start the second last turn. They've got just over half a mile to go, and it's Abiad and Al Badr, the race yet to play. Belmez and Salmorez, and behind these Sickerston, and then Adaristan and Salsabil's tucked in behind a wall of horses. Legal Case is wide, Ildaniski is wide, Antisar looks for room in the groove, is going to be forced wide in the home turn. Willie Carson boxed in looking for room there, and this is going to be a rough race. They fell out into the straight. Has Willie on Salsabil found the room and found the pace as Belmez goes for home, a quarter of a mile left to run, but Salmorez runs the rails and that kicks clear, and Adaristan is in mid-deflation. Also coming with a run is Snurge, and on the wide outside in the wings, but Salmorez has the call, and Salmorez and in the wings and Antisar, and also coming there is Epervier Bleu in the blue jacket, but Salmorez next to the rails, Epervier Bleu and Snurge. These are the leading 3 as they dash up to the line, and it's going to be Salmorez who holds on from Epervier Bleu. Salmorez beats Epervier Bleu. Snurge, a brave race for England in third. In the wings 4 and Belmez 5, and Adaristan 6, Legal Case 7. Hellenic is 8, Ebor is 9, and Salsabil mid-division. Then came Antisar, and in the wings and Charper and Asatis, and Monsieur Rivens Artota, and behind these came Guisa, and behind Guisa was Sickerston, who dropped right away, but Ildaniski also beat Al Badr. The result then of this Chigga Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, it's gone to number 16, Salmorez, owned by Bruce McNall, trained by Noel Clement, ridden by Jérôme Mossé. Vier Bleu, ridden by Dominic Berth. The third horse home for me was Snurge, and 4th was in the wings, but Salmorez has won it, and there the leading jockeys, 1st and 2nd, Dominic Berth, and on the winner Salmorez, Jérôme Mossé, are congratulating each other. The English brought their largest, biggest and best challenge, and I'm afraid to say we were beaten by this horse Salmorez, which in his early career was owned by Charles St George and trained by Henry Cecil, but there he is, number 16, Salmorez. He had a terrific run next to the rails, well placed by the aristocratic-looking Jérôme Mossé. There he is on the extreme left of the picture, within the wings, putting down a challenge. Salsabil, I'm afraid to say, didn't get the run of the race, but it's Salmorez next to the rails who's gone clear. Surge, not his surge today, I'm afraid. Epervier Bleu comes wide, but it's a one-horse race on this dash to the line. That one horse is Salmorez. He's dropped back in distance, and it was Jérôme Mossé who made the most of his stamina. A brave performance by this horse. This is Salmorez, and it's Jérôme Mossé who wins the Arc, despite an incredible riding style. Epervier Bleu knows his close home. Yellow colours for England. Snurge is third.
And then you're getting down to the outsiders, Sickerston, Filiardros and Vari Albard are 200 to 1.
Linamix still the best each-way bet, would you say?
Well, I thought he was a bigger price than that. Yes, I still think he's got a great chance of getting into the places, definitely. And I'd dearly like to see him do that. For Freddie Head's sake, he's had some stick in the last couple of rides he's had over here.
Sorry to interrupt you, John. Cartagena is due to go in last. And number 9 in the groove to go in last but 1, and Linamix last but 2. So if Linamix is in, the 2 fillies ought to follow him, and the moment they're in, they'll be off. 13-8 Cartagena now, 9-2 in the groove, 5's El Marmoul, 6 Legal Case. Over to you, Roderigo.
Thank you, John. Yes, and away they go in the Group 1 Champion Stakes, and the first to show is Linamix for France in the grey jacket, but up on the outside now with a red cap. That is the 5-year-old Albada with a red cap who goes on now. So it's Albada after just over a furlong and a half, who is out there making the running by some 2 lengths from Linamix. After these 2, El Marmoul with the striped cap, and then the favourite Cartagena. She's one of the 3 course and distance winners in the field, and is followed by Filia Ardros. And then after Filia Ardros, last year's 5-1 winner, Legal Case. They've covered just over a quarter of a mile. After Legal Case is Anvari, one of Clive Britton's 3 runners, and then comes another one, Terrimon, and followed by the filly in the groove. And at the moment, Sykeston and Lester Piggott are last of the 10. They're coming now down to complete the 3rd furlong, with Albada and John Williams still cutting out the pace, with El Marmoul in the owner's first colours now going second in front of the Frenchman Linamix. And then after these 3, as they come down to the final 3/4 of a mile, is the favourite Cartagena, making very good progress indeed. But as they come now to the final 5 in the Champion Stakes, it's over the grandstand and Graham Good.
Very much a case of follow my leader, and the leader is Albada. They're all electing to come down, so they just stand side. The grey French raider Linamix is coming there strongly. El Marmoul in the striped cap, and the favourites in the green cap on the left of the leading quartet. A length back to Legal Case, showing 5, Anvari 6, Filia Ardros 7. Sykeston makes ground in the groove, is cruising in behind them, hard on the steel as they come down past the 3, and Linamix just shades El Marmoul with Cartagena on the left, and then Anvari on the extreme right. Sykeston's in the yellow sleeve jacket with a lot to do to get the place, and as they come down past the 2, any one of 6 could win. It's Linamix and El Marmoul. Linamix in the grey colours, El Marmoul here comes in the groove strongly on the right in the maroon sleeve jacket. They race down into the dip, a furlong to go, and it's in the groove. The filly going on from Linamix, who's rallying back in 3rd place. Legal Case comes with a strong run. El Marmoul is out of it, so too Cartagena. It's in the groove, driving to the line, going on by a length. Linamix takes second up towards the line in the groove, and Steve Cawthon take the Dubai Champion Stakes. Linamix is second, and Legal Case a brave 3rd. 3 lengths back to El Marmoul, then Filia Ardros and Cartagena, and behind these came Anvari. A big gap to Sykeston, who beat only 2. One of those was Albada, and the other one was Terrimon. So Pateterie won't be having 200 winners this week, 200 winners in the season this week. The result then of this, the Dubai Champion Stakes. In the groove has won the 9-2 shot in the colours of Mr. Brian Cooper. Trained at Whitesbury by David Ellsworth. Steve Cawthon rode this one, his 131st winner of the season, and the second time he's won the Champion Stakes, successful in '83 on Cormorant Wood. And there he is on the right in the grey and purple half jacket. None was going better than Steve with 2 to go, and this filly has come back to the sort of form that she showed middle season. Obviously the arc running was all wrong, but a brave performance by the second home Linamix. There he is in the grey jacket. Freddie Head not boxed in today, saw plenty of daylight, just beaten by a better horse on the day. The 3rd horse home was number 2 Legal Case, the winner of this race last year. But there goes in the groove, bred by Captain John McDonald Buchanan. Well done to that home team, and it's in the groove, coming clear, this Daughter of Night Shift, and Steve Cawthon takes the richest 1.25 mile race in Europe.
And throughout the last 2 or 3 furlongs of this race, for backers of In the Groove or supporters of In the Groove, it was a happy sight, because although Cartagena looked full of running on the outside, El Marmoul hasn't committed next to her. Just look back on the right of the picture and you'll see Steve Cawthon sitting absolutely motionless with both hands full on In the Groove. He's got the filly beautifully settled, and still, well, he's just now beginning to nudge at her for the first time. Anvari now showing on the right of your picture, but El Marmoul and Cartagena are coming to challenge Linamix, but the French colt holds them. It's the filly he can't withstand.
And it was real guts at the end of this race, because she'd gone from running away. Steve's had to give her a crack because this French horse isn't going to give in easily. Freddie Head's always been up there in the van. Cartagena's tiring at this stage, and that this, when Freddie Head's got this horse onto his other leg, they've had a real ding-dong battle. Steve pulled his stick through, given her a couple of cracks, and she really is a game genuine filly, this. I should think Brian Cooper will be a long time before he has anything half as good as her. And well, she's been on the go all through the season, and full marks to her. She ought to win the horse.
It was planned, really. We came to Cheltenham to win it, and he was an improved horse since he's been front running anyway. But it was no surprise. No, we had a nice bet on it anyway.
At 66 to 1?
Yes, and a bit more.
The horse seems to have improved about 21 pounds since the turn of the year. How would you account for that?
I think he's just matured, you know. It's front running tactics suit him now. When we had him first, he wouldn't settle, and but he's just matured now, and he's taken to his racing. He really enjoys it.
How optimistic are you about today's race, and do you have any misgivings?
Well, he jumps very fast, which is be to his benefit, because there's one or two not very good jumpers in it. I think it's a very open race. It's who's best on the day. I think he's very well anyway.
Yes, very confident trainer. He's 6 to 1 from 13 to 2. Good to see the smaller trainers having a crack and a good chance. This is one of the many Irish-bred horses in the race by De Cooser out of Miss Pear, and I can tell you that this one was bred by a fella called Mr. Timoney from Draperstown in County Derry. Now off to number 9, which is Captain Moore there in the well-known colours of Peter Pillar. This fellow's by Welsh Captain, who stands at Stratford-on-Avon. The former jump jockey Richard Evans stands him, and of course very versatile stallion, because he's also responsible for Ski Captain, that good sprinter on the flat. Well, Captain Moore has set up a tremendous sequence now, but he's certainly taking on a lot today, and we'll see exactly how good he is. Certainly Arthur Stevenson doesn't send him down for nothing, and he's 7 to 1 from 6 to 1. But he's won his only 4 races this season. He took his last 3 last season and won 2 before that, so his record is very good indeed. They've been at places like Wetherby, Carlisle, Sedgefield, and now this is the test. But he's only got to carry 10 stone 5 today. Kenny Johnson, the only amateur in the race, but a very able amateur he is. Number 7 is Cuddydale, finished 6th in this race last year and broke down, but he's come out and had 1 run this year, finished 3rd, ran well. He is fancied. John Guise is up on the stand, so let's go. Oh, well, in actual fact, that'll take a minute or 2 to repair. It's going to be fast, you know. We've got 5 confirmed front runners in this, or horses who like to be forcing the pace. So you can imagine that's why they were all heads over the tape and ready to go. Let's have a quick look at the market.
And Clever Folly is still the favourite, 5 to 1. New Halen 6 to 1, and 7 to 1, 3 of them. New Halen gone to 13 to 2. Captain Moore, Foos Lady, and Cuddydale are 7s, and is 10 to 1 bar.
Now Richard Dunwoody lining up there on the inside. He rode a treble yesterday. I went in after racing, and there he was in the sweat box, absolutely losing his weight for this ride today. He's had to put up a pound overweight at 10 stone 1, but you know, you think it's all glory, don't you, riding these great trebles at Cheltenham, and there was the poor man sitting when everyone else had gone home, sweating buckets for today's race. And you can see he's hardly got a saddle underneath him, but he won't need it. Great horseman, all he wants is something to keep his stirrup irons on, and Tharum Bar certainly has an each way chance. John Upson, who owns and trains him, has had 17 winners so far this season, and Duddy's on 37 himself. Well, Shaw Metal, one of those who likes to bowl along, took the tape with him, and this one is ridden by Graham McCourt for Ginger McCain. Ginger, who's got a lovely string of horses, and in a fortnight's time moves from his famous Southport yard and is just going down into Cheshire, beautiful part of Cheshire. He'll certainly enjoy that. Multum Impavo, number 11 in the light yellow colours there. Now this is a funny little horse. He's got bags of ability. He's tiny, as you can see for him yourself, but he does come up with a double handful and then doesn't always produce it. Expect this one to come very late, but the way they're going to run this race, it'll suit this horse. Norman Williamson can tuck in behind. 4 is Joint Sovereignty, who won it a year ago. He's owned by Wally Braid, who bought this horse specifically for the Seagram Grand National, but sadly, no fairy tale there. He's 33 to 1 from 25s. He's now with John Wilson, who trains at Ayr Racecourse, and Michael Bowlby gets the ride. Well, Joint Sovereignty had a nasty experience in his horse box, got down before he last ran, and might have twinged his old back. He's always had a few old problems, you know. Jimmy Fitzgerald used to train this fellow and train him very well. So did Philip Hobbs in order to win this race 12 months ago. He was then ridden by Graham McCourt, who's on Shaw Metal today. Well, it's a very open race with Clever Folly 9 to 2, New Hayland 13 to 2, 7s we've got Foos Lady and Cuddy Dale, and 15 to 2, Captain Moore 10 to 1 bar. Sir John Guise as the starter, waiting patiently while the tape is being fixed. I doubt whether they'll incur his wrath again, so let's go and join Peter.
Yeah, they're asked to turn, but Shaw Metal at the back at the moment with Wigtown Bay. These two way out the back. Multum and Parvo turns as well, and so does Ida's Delight and Captain Moore. Staying right up against the tape though are Clever Folly and Far and Bar. Now they're turning and coming away. This is Ida's Delight with the hoop sleeves. Clever Folly walking right. Colours of Peter Pillar on Captain Moore. It's Foos Lady with the stars.
Yeah, I'm watching you. It's all right.
Starter telling Shaw Metal's rider, Graham McCourt, that he's watching him all right. The Shaw Metal actually broke fast in that false start and took the tape with him about almost a furlong down the course, and this has clearly unsettled him, and he didn't want to come back and join him, and now he doesn't want to go in and join him again. He's asking for it to be brought up at the back, the starter, but he's very, very unwilling at the moment, Shaw Metal, this horse who brought off a 100 to 1 shock at Liverpool last season. Being led up now, and this looks, and they're running, they're off. Wigtown Bay is just a little bit slow away, and Tharan Bar is one of the first to show as they come to the first, with Foos Lady right up there, Shaw Metal going to join them, and Cuddy Dale as well, and they're all safely over the first of the 15 fences, although Clever Folly made a mistake there, and Shaw Metal has gone on from Wingspan on the outside, and then comes Cuddy Dale and Clever Folly, and then Tharan Bar. Behind them is Foos Lady, and the back marker is Wigtown Bay, and just ahead of him is last year's winner Joint Sovereignty, and Shaw Metal jumps the third in the lead from Wingspan and Cuddy Dale, and behind them Tharan Bar, New Haylen, and then Clever Folly, and then Buckfast Abbey, and behind Buckfast Abbey Multum in Parvo, and then Captain Thor, and then Ida's Delight, and Wigtown Bay is still the back marker, and one from last is Joint Sovereignty, and Shaw Metal is making it from Wingspan in second and Cuddy Dale third. Four behind them come New Haylen, a little gap then to Tharan Bar, and behind Tharan Bar comes Foos Lady with Ida's Delight next, and then Clever Folly not far behind them as they jump the fourth. And all safely over it, though Wigtown Bay was very clumsy at it, and Wingspan has come to take it up now. Wingspan jumps the fifth in the lead from Shaw Metal. Then comes New Haylen and Cuddy Dale, and behind them Clever Folly and Ida's Delight and Foos Lady and Tharan Bar over on the far side. Behind them Buckfast Abbey, and then Multum in Parvo. Then Captain Thor, Captain Moore I should say, and then Joint Sovereignty, and finally Wigtown Bay and Wingspan. Coming to the fence, it'll be the last next time round, number 6 this time. In the lead by about 2 lengths from Shaw Metal in second, and New Haylen jumps at third, and Foos Lady 4, and Clever Folly 5 and 6, Cuddy Dale on the outside. Then comes Buckfast Abbey and Ida's Delight nearest to us, and Multum in Parvo on the far side. Then Captain Moore, behind Captain Moore, almost upsides him rather, is Tharan Bar, and behind Tharan Bar joins Sovereignty and Wigtown Bay over the 7th, and Wingspan lands in the lead from Shaw Metal and New Haylen and Clever Folly, and then comes Cuddydale and Buckfast Abbey, and behind them Foos Lady and Multimin Parvo, Captain Moore. Behind Captain Moore is Ida's Delight, then joins Sovereignty being rousted along, and Wigtown Bay, who's been last throughout. They're coming down to the one now before the water, number 8. Shaw Metal and Wingspan over on the far side, with New Haylen almost up with them. Buckfast Abbey, Cuddydale just in behind the lead. Over the water now. Shaw Metal lands in the lead from Wingspan. New Haylen on the inside. Buckfast Abbey up with them, then Cuddydale, Multimin Parvo. Captain Moore is making progress over the first of the ditches, and there it was New Haylen who landed in the lead. New Haylen the leader at this one, number 11. Wingspan on the outside. Clever Folly has come to join them also. Buckfast Abbey is right up with them now. In fact, has taken a marginal advantage, Buckfast Abbey, as they race towards the final ditch, 4 from home. Buckfast Abbey on the far side. Clever Folly on the inner. Then comes New Haylen. Cuddydale has been pulled up. Tharan Bar's getting closer to them all the time. New Haylen has the advantage now from Buckfast Abbey, and then Clever Folly, then Tharan Bar, and behind them Multimin Parvo, and behind them Foos Lady, then Wingspan, who's lost a lot of ground, and Captain Moore has got a lot to do to try and get on terms with them. 3 from home, and it's New Haylen the leader from Buckfast Abbey on the far side. And Buckfast Abbey is nearly gone there, left New Haylen clear. Multimin Parvo travelling strongly in second though, and then comes Tharan Bar just in behind them as they come down now towards the second last, and New Haylen is going to jump it 2 lengths clear of Multimin Parvo. Tharan Bar and Richard Dunwoody still very much in contention though in third, and now Multimin Parvo comes to take it up on the inside. Multimin Parvo now and New Haylen, these two. Tharan Bar's now under pressure, then comes Clever Folly racing to the final fence, and as they do so in the Mackeson, Multimin Parvo was storm clear and looks as though he's only got to jump it. Multimin Parvo lands 3 lengths clear of New Haylen and Tharan Bar, and then comes Clever Folly, and then Wigtown Bay, who's made progress from last but nothing. Surely is going to catch Multimin Parvo as they race it up towards the line. Multimin Parvo and Norman Williamson win it in dramatic style. Second is Tharan Bar, third New Haylen, 4 Wigtown Bay, 5 Clever Folly, 6 Foos Lady, 7 is Joint Sovereignty, 8 Wingspan, 9 Captain Moore. Behind Captain Moore was Ida's Delight, and then Shaw Metal. And so the result of the 31st running of the Mackeson Gold Cup. First, number 11, Multimin Parvo, owned by Mr. Alan Parker, trained by John Edwards and ridden by Norman Williamson. Second was number 13, Tharan Bar, owned by Mr. John Upson, trained by him and ridden by Richard Dunwoody. Third was number 10, New Haylen, owned by Mrs. Sally Civiter, trained by Paul James, ridden by Eamon Tierney. And fourth was number 12, Wigtown Bay. But this is the winner, Multimin Parvo.
A great run by New Haylen, left in the lead after the fall of Buckfast Abbey, but coming off the elbow there was only one winner, Multimin Parvo, who stormed clear between the last 2 and had the race by the scruff of the neck as Norman Williamson brought him just hands and heels to the last, and he pricks his ears, 1-2, pops it beautifully and lands 4 lengths clear and running. Running on well is New Haylen. Tharan Bar, the bottom weights, come up with a terrific run for Richard Dunwoody and the white colours on the far side, but Norman Williamson, the former Irish amateur, riding his most important success, drives his mount out to the line for a resounding 7 or 8 lengths